are pivotal and prominent in the Big Ten Conference race. And speaking of which,
there are still 3 teams undefeated in Big Ten play. All 3 in action today. Michigan State playing at Minnesota. That game on ESPN2. Bob Davie, this race is so wide open.
Mark, it's early in the Big Ten race, but this is a huge football game. The winner will remain unbeaten in the Big Ten and be in great shape. That both these teams face challenges today. For Purdue, win on the road. This is Purdue's first Big Ten road game this season, and Camp Randall is a tough place to play. For Wisconsin, they have to fight human nature. It's human nature to have a letdown after a big emotional win like they had last week against Ohio State. Mark, keep this in mind. These teams haven't played since 2000, but the winner of the last 3 Purdue-Wisconsin games has gone on to the Rose Bowl.
Bob, all 3 of those previous games between these 2 teams have been decided by a touchdown or less. We are set for the opening kickoff. Purdue wins the toss, deferring to the second half. Wisconsin's Brandon Williams. Williams takes it out to the 24-yard line, and that is where Jim Sorgi will get the start of the offense for the Wisconsin Badgers. Mark Jones in the house along with Bob Davie. Holly Rowe downstairs on the field joining us in just a few. And Bob, Joe Tiller might have his best team ever here at Purdue, but when he looks across the sideline, it's like looking in the mirror.
Right, Mark, it's amazing just how similar these 2 teams are. First, both have bounced back from non-conference losses. Second, they're very similar in styles of play.
First down and 10 from the 24 for Sorgi. On the play fake, going up top for Lee Evans. And it's picked off by Jacques Reeves on the first play of the ball game. They tried to hit them early, and it backfired.
Lee Evans last week went 55 minutes without a catch in the Ohio State game, then had a big 79-yard completion. Here, right off the bat, they go up the top to Lee Evans. The ball poorly thrown by Jim Sorgi, and Jacques Reeves comes up with the interception on the first possession of the game, Mark.
That is their 12th interception as a team defense this season. Reeves with his 2nd of the year. First down and 10 for Kyle Orton and Purdue at their own 41. Single back set, Orton fires complete to Taylor Stubblefield. Nice gain out near midfield at the 50-yard line. Kyle Orton, a young man that grew up in Altoona, Iowa, a history major. He grew up admiring the former great quarterbacks that played for Nebraska. Turner Gill, the late Brooks Behringer, and the like. And here's a look at the Best Buy starting lineups. The backs and receivers, Gerard Ford getting the start. He was nicked up last week on the first play of the game, but he's back. Nose of the ball just in Wisconsin territory, inside the 50. This is Boyd. And Boyd brought down right near the line of scrimmage. Close to the first down. Let's take a look at the offensive line for Purdue as the crowd continues to file in here on homecoming week. Bob, they're taking care of their quarterback and making sure that he stays upright.
Well, Mark, they're running the ball, but a great statistic is only 7 sacks allowed, #1 in the Big Ten.
Up against this defensive front, Antaj Hawthorne had a great week against the Buckeyes last week with a couple of sacks.
And these 2 defensive tackles from Wisconsin, Hawthorne and Jefferson, Mark, big test for Purdue, center and 2 guards in this football game.
It's first down and 10. Orton fires complete again. Out near another first down, it's Taylor Stubblefield. Leads the team in receptions. Jim Leonard brought him down. Let's take a look at the linebackers now for Wisconsin. Catalano replaced in the starting lineup this week. It's going to be Timbers along with Lewis and Mack. In the secondary, Starks playing some of his best football of the season for the Badgers in the secondary, along with Rowan on the corners, Aiello and Leonard, the All-American, the safeties. Purdue on its first possession of the ball game. Stubblefield in motion, 3 receivers set for the Boilermakers. Out of the shotgun, it's Orton. Delivers complete at the 23-yard line to John Standiford for another first down. And Holly Rowe, this is a fast-starting team traditionally, isn't it?
That's right. Joe Tiller gets his teams off to a quick start. They have outscored opponents 54-3 in the first quarter. Now, Barry Alvarez has told his Wisconsin team, all we have to do is meet their surge. He told his team they are going to complete passes. Don't let that rattle you, but stop them when they get to the red zone.
All right, Holly, the nose of the ball at the 22-yard line. Very auspicious beginning here for the Boilermakers. on the road for the first time in 5 weeks. First down and 10. Orton gets rid of it quickly, complete. Down at the 11-yard line, it's Standiford. Brought down by Starks.
And Kyle Orton has come out on fire in this football game. Throws the slant. Great catch by John Standiford, the talented senior quarterback. But Kyle Orton, Mark, you see what Purdue's coaches have told us all week. He's moving around, scrambling better. Right there, really zinged that football in there to John Standiford. Terrific opening drive here for Purdue, taking advantage of the Wisconsin turnover.
Ingraham, the tall 6'9" receiver in the ballgame. Huge imposing target. 5 receivers, an empty formation. Orton perfect, 5 for 5 now. It's Stubblefield knocked out of bounds at the 2-yard line. And this is the old style Purdue where they pitch and pass, Bob.
You're right, Mark. Joe Tiller brought the spread offense to the Big Ten, and in particular brought the bubble screen to the Big Ten. They used to throw this 15, 20 times a game back with Drew Brees and Vinny Sutherland. Right there, they come with the bubble screen to Stubblefield.
Joe Tiller, a guy that changed the way that many people think about offensive football in the Big Ten Conference. Second down and goal. Sean Phillips, the starting defensive end now in the ballgame on offense for Purdue. Boyd the back into the boundary. He'll score. Touchdown, Boilermakers. Got a nice block on the edge from Goldsberry.
Purdue, 7 straight weeks now, Mark, scoring in their opening possession. And
Rod Boyd, Bob, his 7th rushing touchdown this season.
And we talked in the open, Mark, about fighting human nature. If you're Wisconsin, you'd have to say there has been a little bit of a letdown based on the way this game has started.
Well, the extra point is good, and a crowd that is usually very raucous and rowdy early in most contests, still late arriving, and Gerard Boyd says, hey, don't sleep on the Boilermakers, we're here. Better recognize. We'll be back. Welcome back, everyone, to Camp Randall Stadium, the 73rd meeting between Wisconsin and Purdue jumping out to an early lead, 7-0. A 7-play, 59-yard drive, converting on that interception. Kyle Orton, 5 for 5. Passing during the drive. Brandon Williams will take the knee 5 yards deep. And Reese Davis, Michigan State, one of the great stories this year.
It is indeed, Mark, and sort of a sort-out day in the Big Ten for positioning. Trev and Mark with me as always. We're living in parallel universes in Madison and Minneapolis. Minnesota turned the ball over on their first play of the game. And 4 plays later, Jaron Hayes in for the Spartans. Michigan State on top 7-0. Game's on ESPN2. And, of course, we'll keep an eye on it for you. Good job.
Right, Reese, you talk about having to bounce back. Flint Mason's crew blowing that big late lead against Michigan last Friday. First and 10. Anthony Davis in the ball game. Gains about 2, brought down by Terrell. Sorgi, the starting quarterback from Fraser, Michigan. A young man that made his first career start against Purdue 3 years ago in this game. And a look at our Best Buy backs and receivers. Starting lineups, Anthony Davis back in the lineup after missing 3 of the last 4 games. It's going to be interesting to watch his fitness level. See what kind of shape he's in after sitting so long. Second down, here's the counter. Davis stopped up right near the line of scrimmage. This is the number 2 rush defense in the country. Grover making the stop for the Boilermakers. Here's a look at the offensive line. Raiola, one of the leaders up front for the Badgers. He's the guy that had Sorgi's back last week. Against this defensive front for Purdue, Phillips, one of the best pass rushers in the conference. Third down for the Badgers. First offensive series ended in an interception on the first play of the ballgame. Out of the shotgun, Sorgi. Looking for Evans. And he got it. Complete at the 35-yard line. Beating Jacques Reeve on the play. Sorgi went right back to him. A 45-yard gain.
Anytime Wisconsin needs a play, needs momentum, they go to Lee Evans. Here, Jacques Reeves allows him inside on the post route. Tremendous throw under pressure by Jim Sorgi, but Lee Evans, 99-yard reception against Akron, got him out of a jam. 79-yard reception last week, Ohio State. This week, he provides some more energy for Wisconsin's struggling offense.
He's now caught a pass in 33 consecutive games. Davis and Smith in the backfield on first down. Sorgi keeps it himself. Jim Sorgi can run a little bit, folks. A flag down, though, at the 17-yard line. As Sorgi picks up the Badger first down.
The 17-yard line, number 31, Pollard. Flag on the play.
A flag on the play. It's a hold against Wisconsin. Let's take a look at the linebackers now for Purdue. Nico Kudavides, a 6'3" senior, the team's leading tackler, flanked by Johnson and Gardner. And a secondary, Reeves and Rogers, a couple of guys that can run. Schweigert, the All-American free safety, joined by a hard-hitting freshman in Pollard.
When you talk about energy, Mark Hawley talked about Barry Alvarez's plan in the open. But interesting this week, obviously Wisconsin coming off the huge emotional win Saturday night, primetime ESPN, nationally televised game against Ohio State. A lot of energy used up. Purdue, on the other hand, no classes this week. In fall break, chance for their football team to really get relaxed, get energized coming in here. But Lee Evans, big spark for Wisconsin on that big post route.
He's the big equalizer in the ball game for the Badgers. First down, and they fumble it. It's on the ground, and Purdue got the ball. Bernard Pollard, the strong safety, pounced on it. Wisconsin has turned it over twice.
Well, early in this football game, the toughest team on Wisconsin's schedule right now is Wisconsin themselves. They're beating themselves early in this football game, and Barry Alvarez is well aware of that. Simply trips on the backside guard right there. Bunning trying to pull, I believe. The ball comes out, and Purdue with their second turnover of the game, Mark.
Defense that is very opportunistic. 9 returning starters from a season ago. They've recovered. Purdue has 5 fumbles this year. First and 10. Wharton still red hot, complete. Out to the 37. Standerford making the catch. And Purdue.
Excuse me again, Mark. Two big factors in college football games. Turnover margin and field position are the 2 most tangible statistics that matter in wins and losses. And you look at all those teams, they all have one thing in common. They're winning a bunch of football games this year.
Ingraham, Standerford, Stubblefield, and Williams. Joined by Chambers, an empty formation. Flag down. Orton still picture perfect, but will it stand? Standerford making the catch. Joe Tiller says that Standerford and Stubblefield and Williams, his receivers, a little bit nicked up for his liking. The penalty going against the Badgers. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe for more.
Well, guys, the Purdue defensive coordinator, Brock Spack, says they coach turnovers all year long. They start out in spring ball, they go through 2-a-days, and then they work on it every single day in practice. He said what they try to do is when they're playing zone coverage, compete for the ball, get in there and get the interception. He also says they do ball disruption videos every week, show how the other team has lost balls, and try to duplicate that in their own game. Seems like it's paying off pretty well for Purdue today.
It certainly is. Right now in good field position again out at the 42-yard line.
But Wisconsin really with 2 self-inflicted turnovers, and there the offside penalty out of sync early in this game because of the turnovers.
First down and 10. Stubblefield in motion. One of the few times they've run the ball today. Boyd found a crease. First down at the 42-yard line. Ryan Aiello making the stop on the play. And so far, Gerard Boyd showing no ill effects from that ankle injury last week.
And we're going to come up here a little bit later and talk about football 101 and the bunch formation. But here, Gerard Boyd out of the bunch toss sweep gashes Wisconsin. So Purdue doing a good job throwing and also coming back with the running game. Good mixture right now in this early plan for Purdue and their offense, Mark.
This is as balanced a Purdue team that we've seen in the last 7 years under Joe Tiller. First down and 10. Orton now audibling at the line. Orton gets rid of it quick, tipped at the line, and it looks like it was caught by Standiford. Alex Lewis got a hand on the ball, but John Standiford, a picture of concentration, making the grab. That's the way it's gone for the Boilermakers so far, Bob.
John Standiford, the leading receiver in Purdue history right here. Kyle Lorton at about 6'5", but the ball's batted by Alex Lewis. John Standiford just goes up and makes a play on the ball. Jeff Mack, the linebacker, coming in, more concerned about making the tackle, Mark, than making the play on the football.
And there's Boyd on the carry. A little bit short of the first down. Lamar Watkins making the stop for the Badger defense.
Mark, we talked a little bit about the similarities of these two teams. Purdue used to be basketball on the grass, throw it 60 or 70 times a game. Forget about it. Not anymore. They're a lot like Wisconsin always has been. Run the football, and right here they're in a running situation on 3rd and short.
A running game allowing them to lead the conference in time of possession. 3rd and short, 2 to go. They toss. Flag down. Boyd brought down with the first down at the 31-yard line, but hold on a second. There was a little bit of motion.
Flag in the play.
It's against the Boilermakers. They'll play this one over again. Wisconsin, no doubt, will take the penalty. Joe Tiller, in his 7th year as head coach at Purdue, says that this is the most balanced squad he's had since coaching the Boilermakers. Is it the best team? Well, he says we'll find out in the next couple of weeks.
Mark, Purdue for years, when Joe Tiller first came to the Big Ten in 1997, a quarterback-centered and focused football team with Drew Brees. Now they're more of a running back, balanced, focused football team. But here, because of the penalty, they're in a passing situation.
Crowd bringing a little bit of noise for one of the first times today. They've been a little lethargic themselves. Orton still picture perfect. The first down at the 28-yard line. Hits number 89, the tall, imposing receiver, Kyle Ingraham, all 6'9".
Kyle Ingraham, 6'9" out of San Antonio. Good job right there of taking advantage of the matchup on Scott Starks, who's about 5'11", and Purdue is hot.
They call him the Stork. Tallest player in school history, and Kyle Orton still dealing a hot hand. Another empty formation for the Boilermakers. Standiford on the reception, battling for some extra yards at the 20-yard line. Let's go back to Reese Davis in the studio.
All right, Mark, Taco Bell takes us up to the Carrier Dome, BC and Syracuse. There's been some personal rancor between the administration of these two programs. Anderson finding Rashard Williams down the middle, point after, no good, and the orange on top of BC, 6-0.
Well, that'd be a Hard Feelings Bowl with Boston College, their impending move to a different conference. 2nd down and 1. Pretty good number so far for Orton. Boyd trying to get to the edge and hit hard, brought down by Jeff Mack. He brought the noise. Butkus nominee making a very dominating stop.
Jeff Mack, Wisconsin's leading tackler, Mark, and this guy is a great tackler. Watch him here, inside out right there. Doesn't wrap up, but I mean, shocks Gerard Boyd, the running back. But I love Jeff Mack, local guy right here from Madison. Dad played at UW. Of course, his dad was a wide receiver. He didn't teach him to hit like that, I promise you.
3rd and short. Play fake, open in the flat, complete to Goldsberry. And he gets the first down to the 6-yard line. John Goldsberry, a backup linebacker at times, making the reception a 16-yard gain.
Another great call by Jim Chaney, keeping Wisconsin off balance. Mark, they come with something called the power pass. It looks like it's going to be the power off tackle, but the big fullback just simply runs by the outside linebacker. And Goldsberry, actually a linebacker, that they convert to put in there at fullback because Purdue is a one-back offense.
Jim Chaney pressing all the right buttons so far, the team's offensive coordinator. First down and goal. Another empty formation. Orton. Touchdown, Purdue. Stubblefield with his 11th touchdown pass this season from Orton.
Purdue has Wisconsin definitely off balance. The option route by Tyler Stubblefield, where he fakes the inside move, then curlicues back outside. Tyler Stubblefield, Mark, 16 pass receptions in one game against Bowling Green, primarily on option routes, and Purdue right now has stunned this crowd.
Let's say, hey, we got your homecoming for you right now. Basketball on grass is back, and when we come back, Bob Davie going to take you inside his football lab and break down football 101, the bunch. We'll be back. View of Lake Mendota here in Madison, Wisconsin. Purdue ranked number 15, leading 14-0, and they have taken 2 Wisconsin turnovers and converted them into touchdowns. 2 impressive drives by Kyle Orton, who's a perfect 11 of 11 so far passing the ball. And there's a look at Stubblefield making the touchdown grab a few moments ago. Jones to kick off. The crowd here in stunned silence. Brandon Williams 2 yards deep. Williams run out of bounds at the 38-yard line, but for Purdue, the bunch has been working. And here's Bob Davie with more in Football 101.
Passing downs, the offense normally spreads their formation as wide as possible, trying to create mismatches in the open field. A nice change up to this, something called the bunch formation. To create the bunch, the offense lines up 3 wide receivers in close proximity. Because the receivers are stacked, it's difficult for the defense to communicate and play man-to-man coverage. A natural pick is created simply by clearing one receiver and bringing the other receiver underneath.
On first down and 10, Sorgi keeps it himself. Rogers runs him out of bounds, a gain of about 3 on the play. 5:15 to go in the first quarter.
Jim Sorgi comes again with the side zone play, Mark, where he reads the defensive end. That's twice today. He's taken advantage of really the aggressiveness of Purdue's defensive ends and kept the ball on the keeper off that play.
Davis the lone back behind Sorgi. Williams in motion, and Aaron Owens moved prematurely, number 11. Owen Daniels checked that. This one's going to go against Wisconsin. Well, Barry Alvarez warned his team against a potential letdown. Maybe the warning wasn't stout enough, but then again, there's only so much a coach can do, Bob. You know that.
Mark, human nature. And you can talk all week about how well practice has gone, how the team is mature and did a great job handling it. But the reality is you do not know until the ball is kicked off. But let's not underestimate the job Purdue has done coming in here. This isn't all just about Wisconsin playing poorly. Purdue has done a great job, particularly Jim Chaney, of being very, very balanced, giving them a lot of looks on offense.
Second down and 10. Inside handoff out near midfield to the 48-yard line, near a first down. Pollard making the stop. Let's go back to Bob and more on the bunch formation.
Mark, we talk about the bunch. It controls a great defensive end. Here you're going to see Purdue, the toss play you've seen several times in this football game. The tight end blocks down with a great angle on the defensive end. They pull the tackle and the third man in the bunch. So the bunch, not only for pass, but Purdue really doing a great job as this game unfolds, running that sweep out of the bunch.
First down and 10. Badgers near midfield. Sorgi under heat and brought down to the 46-yard line by Schweigert. And Reese, tell us about the Spartans against Minnesota.
Pretty much the same thing you guys have going on. Michigan State, the road team, coming in and handling things, Trev.
Devastating loss last week. First 2 drives from Michigan State right down the field. Jaron Hayes in for the touchdown.
Devastating loss to Minnesota last week, boy, in the lead against Michigan. And Jarrett Payton has just scored, extra point pending. But the Fighting Bobby Wallaces at the moment up by 1 on Miami.
Another potential letdown with Miami having played Florida State last week. 2nd down and 13 after the sack. Bernstein in motion. Sorgi tackled at the 47-yard line by Gilbert Gardner, a 6'2" senior linebacker. We're here at Camp Randall Stadium, Madison, Wisconsin. On an absolutely beautiful Saturday afternoon, I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe down in the field. The early story of the ball game so far, 2 Wisconsin turnovers, 1 coming on the first play of the game. Jock Reeves with the interception. They turned it into a touchdown. Then Sorgi falls. Davis couldn't find the handle. And Kyle Orton took it down the field, leading the offense to another score. And that's where we stand, 14-0. Mason in motion. They set up the screen. Dwayne Smith with room ahead of him. First down, Wisconsin at the Purdue 29.
Mark, big call right there by Brian White, the offensive coordinator. Wisconsin came into this game the last 4 games converting 52% of their 3rd down conversions, which is great, but they've been able to run the ball so successfully they haven't had many 3rd and longs like they were faced with there. Good job of not making Jim Sorgi throw the football down the field in an obvious passing situation. Good call, good change up by Wisconsin.
Side of the eye, it's Davis, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is back. Touchdown, Wisconsin. Sprung loose on a good block by Darren Charles.
Mark, when a football team's struggling, the leaders have to step up. Lee Evans did his part early. Anthony Davis comes back and does his part.
Davis with his 5th rushing touchdown this season. The part-time elementary school teacher. Davis teaching a few lessons here. Catch yourself a little D boogie. Davis boogie will be back. Back in Madison, Wisconsin, Anthony Davis putting the Badgers on the board. They trail now by just 7 points, 14-7. Anthony Davis back after missing 3 of the last 4 games with a high ankle sprain. Told me in practice a couple of days ago, Bob, that he was just about, not quite right, but 80%. But 80% of Anthony Davis is very good.
You're right, Mark, and I'm going to give you a strong statement.
Go ahead.
In my opinion, if Anthony Davis would have, and that's a big would have, could have, if he would have been healthy this year, he would be the #1 Heisman guy in the race right now.
Wisconsin with an impressive streak of 1,000-yard rushers in school history. Davis could still get there. This is Brooks on the return for the Boilermakers. Brought down near the 20-yard line. And speaking of 20s, folks, let's take a look at the new color of money, the redesigned $20 bill, now in circulation. That's the new color of money. Safer, smarter, and a lot more secure. And Purdue's offense has been very secure with the ball so far. Kyle Orton especially, 11 of 11 passing. And Bob, as you mentioned, great balance. Another empty formation for them here.
And I think a lot more empty backfield set than what Wisconsin anticipated, Mark. I think this is something that has Wisconsin's defense a little off balance right now.
Perfect 12-12 now for Orton. Stubblefield making the catch. Let's go back to the touchdown.
Mark, we look at the touchdown. You hear about 8-man fronts all the time. I want you to watch right here. Darren Charles eliminates the 8th man in the box by a great block on Antoine Rogers. And Anthony Davis takes it to the house. But that position right there against the isolation was where the 8th man was supposed to fit. But the 6-foot receiver, 6'6" receiver, Darren Charles, kept the 8th man out of that box.
Sometimes one of the overlooked parts of the game. 2nd down and 4. Standiford complete. Run out of bounds by Leonard at the 40. Let's go back for a Michigan update from Reese.
And Mark, Michigan making short work of Illinois. Mayday, Chris Perry again.
Goal line situation, everyone stays low. For Chris Perry, if the hole's not there, go over the top. He goes in for the score.
He's gone into the end zone 2 times on the day. At halftime, we'll talk about someone in the history of this game who scored a lot, guys.
He's first down and 10 after the Standiford catch.
Mark, you notice a lot of slants in this football game, working on Wisconsin's corners and outside leverage. A lot of inside slant routes.
Orton completes it again, Bob, out to the 46-yard line for Stubblefield. And boy, if you're Wisconsin right now, Bob, what do you do? Because Orton gets rid of the ball so quickly, 3-step drops. Do you bring some pressure? What do you do?
Mark, I think first of all, Jim Chaney, the offensive coordinator from Purdue, told us this week they really respect the front 7 of Wisconsin. Big, strong, 300-pound defensive tackles. Not sure they could run the football really consistently. I think they're trying right now to isolate Wisconsin's secondary and feel they can throw the football.
They throw it again, complete to midfield. Taylor Stubblefield. And Orton is 15 of 15. Folks, tonight on ESPN, 7:45 Eastern, Bobby Bowden will lead number 7 Florida State into Charlottesville to take on Virginia. Florida State has won the last 7 meetings since their memorable '95 game. This game can also be seen in stunning high definition on ESPN HD. Now available nationwide. And on ESPN2, it's number 10 LSU against South Carolina. Bowden one victory away from tying Joe Paterno at the number 1 spot. 3rd down and short. Orton going to pick up the first down and slide safely in the 44-yard line. They move the change with under a minute to go, and Bob, he can move a little bit.
Well, that's old Joe Tiller football, Mark. It's 3rd down and 1, and they're in empty no-backs. Is that Drew Brees out there running around like that? Kyle Orton, great job. You better put that football away and tuck it.
Yeah.
But what a luxury it is if you're Purdue to have a balanced offense. Wisconsin was worried about the running game. Forget about it. It's old Purdue football. Once again, an empty 5-wide receiver set.
They've already thrown for 138 yards. Under a minute to go in the period. Going up top, has a man. Incomplete. His first incompletion of the ball game, intended for John Standiford, who got behind Jim Leonard. Well, he had to miss sometime, I think. When Standiford comes up lame, he has been injured, nicked up most of the season.
And it is a shame because John Standiford has started since his freshman year at Purdue, averaging 16 yards a catch. He's been hurt all year, Mark. And it really is a shame, but he's the career yardage and number of receptions leader at Purdue.
At 448 yards receiving coming into the game. 6 catches today for 67 yards, but not a good sight right there if you're Boilermaker backer.
And I promise he was licking his chops because he was matched up on Jim Leonard, the safety. And Jim Leonard is going to struggle covering a receiver like John Standiford down the field. Now they bring in their secret weapon, though. Ingraham, the 6'8" receiver. Gene Keady is sitting back in West Lafayette right now. Think about that. Same power forward.
Same post him up.
That's exactly
Put him in
right.
the box. 2nd down and 10.
2nd and 10.
Orton with his first miss, and there's a look at Ingraham. Stretched out at 6'9".
Purdue going to motion back to the bunch again, Mark.
The play fake. Orton completes it. Ingraham making the catch at the 33-yard line, and a 1st down for Purdue.
We talked about the confusion the bunch formation causes you. Here you see these 3 receivers come off in stack. Very hard for the defense to communicate, particularly in man-to-man coverage. Ingraham just works out, once again, running a little option route and just sits down.
Big guy, pretty nimble on his feet too, Bob, giving you a little yak some yards after the catch. 12 seconds to go in the period.
But think about how tough it is to defend a team who 1 down spreads the field, using all 53 yards of the width of the football field. The next time they're bunched up in close proximity. Excellent plan by Purdue so far in this football game, Mark.
Well, the bunch has packed a big punch for Purdue, who leads 14-7 at the end of the first period. Kyle Orton dealing it. Back with more from Madison after this. Back in sunny Madison, Wisconsin, Camp Randall Stadium on homecoming weekend, the 73rd meeting all-time between these two schools. Purdue leading by a touchdown. Bunch formation out to the left, trips left for Purdue on 1st and 10. Orton still hot. Complete out to the 33 to Taylor Stubblefield. Let's take a look at the Gateway game track. One of the big stories, 2 Wisconsin turnovers, which have led directly to 2 touchdowns. That was the second turnover by Jim Sorgi, and the first one was an interception. Orton off to a red-hot start. And then Anthony Davis a few moments ago running one into the end zone. His first appearance after missing 3 of the last 4 games. Second down and 8. Purdue has passed the ball an inordinate amount of time so far. But why not when you're completing passes? Flag down on the near side of the field at the 28. Ingraham making another catch. Bob, it doesn't appear as if Wisconsin can stop Purdue when they pass the ball right. It doesn't take Phi Beta Kappa to figure that out.
Mark, Wisconsin is not a big nickel or dime defense, meaning they don't play a lot of substituted defensive backs in the game. They like to line up and keep their linebackers in there. Their linebackers are very athletic, but they're primarily a zone team. I think coming into this game, Jim Chaney, the offensive coordinator for Purdue, really didn't feel they could run the ball consistently, felt they had to throw first and run second, which really has been uncharacteristic of Purdue this year, but definitely having success right now spreading the field and throwing the football against this zone coverage.
Jim Chaney matching wits against this man, Kevin Cosgrove, the Wisconsin defensive coordinator, in his 14th season at the helm. Also coaches the linebackers. What a great chess match that's going to be as part of the bigger picture on the sidelines.
Well, and even a bigger picture, when you talk about Joe Tiller and Barry Alvarez, what terrific jobs they have done in the Big Ten. Joe Tiller, 7th year at Purdue, 6 straight bowl games. Barry, 14th season, 8 of the last 10 years taking Wisconsin to a bowl game.
Won back-to-back Rose Bowls. He's the only coach to do it in the history of the Big Ten. Pass incomplete. It was actually dropped by Ingraham. Let's go back to Reese in the studio.
All right, Martin, concern over Miami's running game so far appears to be unfounded against Temple. Jarrett Payton again, Mark.
Wonderful job, hat on a hat, little pulling by the left guard coming around. Jarrett Payton into the end zone.
For the second time on the day, Hurricanes. The alarm went off. They're awake. It's 14-7 over Temple.
All right, Reese, 3rd down and long. 13 to go for Purdue. John Standiford back in the ball game for the Boilermakers. Another 5-receiver formation. Got to get to the 24-yard line for the first down. Backside pressure, and Wisconsin has it. Jeff Mack could score. Touchdown, Wisconsin.
Speed kills. That time Kevin Cosgrove lined up his linebacker, Alex Lewis. A speed guy as a defensive end. Just whipped the offensive tackle. Jeff Mack is the beneficiary, takes it to the house. But speed pass rushers are difficult to block.
And the extra point is no good. Allen missed the extra point. And it's 14-13. But what an improbable, implausible turn of events. Purdue still up 1 when we come back. Back in Madison, Wisconsin, the Badgers now down by just 1 after that fumble return for a touchdown by Jeff Mack. His first career interception, and really made it count. Former defensive MVP of the Alamo Bowl last year, and since that point has really taken his game to another plateau, another level.
And smart by Jeff Mack. So many times you see a defensive player make a great play, jumping around on the sidelines. Jeff Mack has to go right back in this football game and play defense, Mark. So an experienced guy sitting over there getting ready to go play another snap of defense here.
This is Brooks on the kickoff return, and the Badgers have been doing a better job on special teams. Let's take one more look at that play.
Mark, an offensive tackle's worst nightmare. Otto right here, a 300-pound offensive tackle. Alex Lewis, a 215-pound linebacker. You see the jump he gets off the football and just beats him to the outside, strips the football up in the air. Jeff Mack takes it to the house. But a good changeup by Kevin Cosgrove to put the quicker linebacker on the big offensive tackle. Alex Lewis around the horn, strips the football.
Just when Purdue, at least what you would think, would be moving in for a field goal, at the very least. Officially ruled a fumble and a 55-yard return. Here's Orton. Flag down at the 15. Pass incomplete. Intended for Standiford. Going to be against the Boilermakers. And let's go back to Reese.
All right, Mark, Texas showed up to play against Iowa State. Cedric Benson paying off a drive, Trev.
Well, Vincent Young really was the story of this drive. Did a nice job of throwing the football down the field to Roy Williams, a couple scrambles. But, yeah, when he gets to the end zone, give it to Cedric Benson. They're going to kill Iowa State. They're mad, Reese.
They ought to be mad after what happened last week.
Texas really got their feelings hurt by Oklahoma. They move it back all the way to the 13-yard line. Here on homecoming week in Madison, Wisconsin, a couple of red-hot teams. Purdue's won 5 straight. Wisconsin has won 4 straight. Winner of this one has a leg up on first in the conference. Orton deals. Complete to the 21-yard line to Anthony Chambers. And for more on Mack, let's go down to Holly.
Well, Jeff Mack is just trotting back out onto the field right now. They had redshirt freshman Mark Zalewski in for him to give him a breather. After that big interception, he was sitting on the bench, and he was trying so hard to catch his breath, he couldn't even talk to the people who were coming over to congratulate him. Coach, he wasn't being smart not jumping around on the bench, saving himself. He just couldn't even catch his breath. He's back in there now.
You're telling me he was out of gas. Is that right, Holly, on that long touchdown run?
He was running on empty.
Yeah.
Bob, come on, it's just 55 yards.
That's 55 more than he's probably ever gotten in his career, though, Mark.
2nd and 12. Orton sacked back at the 9-yard line. Guess who? Alex Lewis, the Butkus nominee.
Alex Lewis, Kevin Cosgrove, the defensive coordinator, was telling us yesterday, Mark, a shy kind of guy. Doesn't say much off the field, very respectful, but when he gets on the field, he's an assassin. Here he comes. This time they bring 5 and bring him on the blitz. The turnover, the sack, momentum shifting back towards the Badgers.
In a hurry, that's the 18th sack of the season for the defense, 3rd of the year for Lewis. 3rd down and Oshkosh to go. They run the draw. And Brandon Jones is brought down to the 15. Lots of playmakers in this game. And speaking of playmakers, hey, tomorrow night, don't miss a special encore presentation of ESPN's Playmakers. You can see episodes 1 and 2 beginning at 9 Eastern. Playmakers also available on ESPN HD. And Bob, what do you think about the coach last week revealing to the team that he was going through some cancer treatment?
Well, he pulled that cancer card out a little early. They still have 4 games before the playoffs, but that coach has a tough job now coaching that ball club.
Oh, they got to run the table. Here's Jim Leonard on the return out near midfield at the 48-yard line, a 51-yard punt. Nice return by Leonard. When we come back after this break, quarterback Jim Sorgi will talk about his choke and being choked last week during that Buckeye game. Back with more after this. Well, Sorgi with a big heart and a very forgiving heart. 3rd down and long. Looking up top. And he's sacked back at the 38-yard line by Sean Phillips. His 2nd sack of the ball game.
Mark, going back to that Jim Sorgi, Robert Reynolds incident that happened last week. I mean, there is no excuse for what happened, but it was interesting this week talking to Brock Spack, Purdue's defensive coordinator. They actually recruited Robert Reynolds out of high school, and everybody at Purdue, and Purdue's the opponent now, says what a great kid Robert Reynolds is. So I think it's important that people keep in mind, even good kids make a mistake sometimes that's out of character. And he'll serve this sentence or penalty, and he'll be back. But you know, I think it's important. Things happen in football games, and good kids do make mistakes.
Yeah, well said. A 41-yard average coming in by Morse. This is Chambers, the Big Ten Conference's Special Teams Player of the Week last week. Had a return for a touchdown against Penn State. This one brought down to the 25, a 42-yard punt. 5 on the return. Kyle Orton wheeling and dealing when we come back. Purdue leading 14-13 here in Madison, Wisconsin. The Boilermakers have won 5 straight. Wisconsin has won 4 straight. The winner of this game with the leg up on first place in the Big Ten Conference. Michigan State also undefeated, taking on Minnesota as we speak.
Mark, and I look for Purdue to come out and run the football now, because Wisconsin has answered the challenge of the bunch formation, the spread offense. Purdue back to running the football, but not like that.
Jeff Mack, Bob, with a big stick on Gerard Boyd. Mack ran 55 yards for a touchdown on a fumble on the last offensive series by Purdue. That'll be second down and about 10 to go.
But the battle continues of the chess game, X and O's. Kevin Cosgrove coming with some adjustments, getting Alex Lewis as the rusher against the spread. Purdue trying to run the football, but you see the strength of Wisconsin's front. Alex Lewis again lined up as the 4th rusher on the big offensive tackle.
Now, Otto's going to have a tough time with him. Orton completes the pass to Taylor Stubblefield, has the first down, and then some, and let's go back to Reese.
All right, Mark, 3 of Ole Miss's 7 wins all time against Alabama have come with a Manning at quarterback. Do I hear 4 out of 8? Eli Manning, already up 10-0, drops a beautifully thrown ball on Tate Biddle, who's from the state of Alabama. His second touchdown, 17-0 Rebels.
I think Reese's lip just dropped down even farther. You know, Reese is from the state of Alabama.
Muscle Shoals.
He doesn't have that accent, though, like a lot of those Alabama guys.
He's masking it. First and 10. Orton, Jeff Mack, becoming a force, the dominant force up front. Alex Lewis, check that. Another dominant force up front.
Alex Lewis, a guy that's blocked punts, tipped passes. Now he's a pass rusher. Right here, you see him just bowling this time, Mike Otto. So Mike Otto set up to block the speed rush, getting out of there quick. Alex Lewis now just bulls him right back into the quarterback.
Great pass rusher, great blocking punts and special teams.
And now you notice they line him up to the other side. They're going to match him up now on Kelly Butler.
Butler a little bit more athletic up front. Pass complete to Stubblefield at the 42-yard line, still about 6 yards short of the first. Rogers making the stop for Wisconsin.
Kelly Butler, a big, talented guy. Mark, I recruited this kid as a basketball player. He was actually a basketball player out of high school, about 6'7", 6'8", will be an NFL player. Really competed that time against Alex Lewis.
So the idea then to move Lewis around side to side, just hide him somewhere, make the offense account for him.
Yeah, let them all get a taste of trying to block that speed rush.
3rd and 6. Orton gets rid of it quickly for the first down at the 48. Kyle Ingraham with his 3rd catch, and this one a big one, a first down for the Boilermakers.
Mark, we said in the beginning, Purdue really throwing a lot of slant routes or inside breaks by the wide receivers. Here taking advantage of big Ingraham at 6'8", corner outside leverage, Chucky Cowens. Excellent plan right there, taking advantage of that height advantage that they have.
Kyle Orton, a poised-looking quarterback in this ball game. Lost his job last year late in the season after suffering a concussion against Iowa, but earned a lot of respect from his teammates, battling back, and now the man completes another pass, and from Let's go to Reese Davis back in the studio. Reese.
Mark, I've been telling you, we've got mirror images going on in Madison and Minneapolis. Home team rallying now. Minnesota against Michigan State. Abdul Khalik to Tony Patterson.
Well, the defender just fell down, Reese, but still a great throw. Michigan State shutting down the run, but they're doing a good job of throwing to Minnesota.
How about Minnesota rushing for over 400 yards and losing?
Has that ever happened?
I don't, maybe with one of the academies running the wishbone at some point, Mark, but I don't think I've ever heard of 400 yards rushing and losing.
Second and 4. Standiford complete at the 37. And for more on Kyle Orton with a hot hand, let's go to Holly.
Well, guys, Kyle Orton is a junior, and he's looking very efficient today. He says one of his secrets is film study, but he's not doing it the old-fashioned way, watching videotape. He does it on a DVD that he has in his computer. That way he's able to watch it at the football office, or he takes it home with him. He says he's even watching Wisconsin tape on the way here on their plane. It's one way technology is changing film study. He said he watches it about an hour and a half to 2 hours every day, and he says that's one of the reasons he's more efficient this season.
And Holly, I got a couple of DVD movies for the flight back if he wants them. Those DVDs, 1st and 10. Pass complete at the 34-yard line. With 5:20 to go tonight on ESPN, 7:45 Eastern. Bobby Bowden, number 7, Florida State, take on Virginia. Quarterback Chris Ricks trying to get back in rhythm after losing in the mud last week against Miami. And then at 7:45 Eastern time on ESPN2, LSU number 10 taking on South Carolina. LSU trying to bounce back after losing against Florida last week. Nose of the ball on the 33.
What Kyle Orton tell us? He likes Conway Twitty as far as his musical preference.
And the Doors. Yeah. That's a diverse guy.
That's a strange matchup there, Conway Twitty and the Doors.
Incomplete. In and out of the arms of John Standiford. Jonathan Welsh pressuring Orton.
You know, I've really watched the development of Kyle Orton over the last several years, having a chance to coach against him and now watch him as I'm doing these games for ESPN. And I've been really impressed with his development. But what really impressed me was when I asked him the other day, if your offense played your defense, who would win? He didn't hesitate. He said, the Purdue defense would beat us.
He gave it up to them. Showed him a lot of love. They've run just once on this drive and passed it 8 times. This is 3rd and 6. And Orton can run himself. Lunging for the first down, and he got it at the 25-yard line. Got a nice block from the big receiver, Kyle Ingraham. Maybe there's a Conway Twitty song to describe that effort.
Well, I asked him the other day what he runs the 40 in. He didn't hesitate. He said 4.9. I like him running. I just wish he would tuck that football a little closer to his body, Mark. Somebody's going to come in there, and they're going to strip that football out of there.
This is the 11th play of the Purdue drive. Orton hands it off, and a nice call. A wall of blockers for Void, who makes it down to the 16-yard line. With 5:03 to go, on Void with a 9-yard pickup.
A guy that's playing well today is Kelly Butler. Right here, the big offensive tackle is going to show his athleticism, Mark, 71, and hopefully he'll come back in our screen. We didn't get a chance to see it, but Kelly Butler at 6'8", out there leading that sweep.
Get those former basketball players, put a little weight on them, make them a tight end or offensive lineman, huh?
Well, and a good waist down right here for Purdue, Mark. It's 2nd and short.
Impressive drive. Incomplete, and Starks really jumped the route, almost had an interception. Scott Starks has been playing outstanding football of late. Kevin Cosgrove, his defensive coordinator, almost singled him out, saying he might be the one guy that has really been the leader defensively for them.
Yeah, I mean, he started 30 straight games, so he realizes, Mark, he's smart. That slant keeps coming, and that time he broke on the slant and almost intercepted, but he's broken up 7 passes in the last 2 weeks, and that's putting your hands on a lot of footballs if you're a defensive back.
Well, there's a reason why Purdue leads the conference in time of possession. 3rd down and 1. Got to keep this drive alive. Orton brought down and sacked by Alex Lewis, who's having a heck of a day, even hugging the official. Feeling good about everything today. His 4th sack already.
I'll tell you what, he is having fun. Here he comes from the outside on the zone blitz, just undercuts Otto, the offensive tackle. And at the end of this play, Mark, he's just having fun. Give me a little love. That's a classic, isn't it?
That's the way the game should be played. Enthusiasm. Jones now in for the field goal attempt, 11-13 on the year. He has been as dependable as can be this year, and he knocks this one through, giving Purdue a 4-point lead, 17-13. Keep an eye on number 12. Alex Lewis hugging quarterbacks and hugging officials. And we'll be back. Boilermakers have made the trip here to Madison, Wisconsin. Their team leading 17-13 on homecoming weekend. The 73rd meeting all time between these two teams. And the bag man right there sacking quarterbacks.
And he's the happiest guy in the stadium because normally in a 4-man rush, you drop those 3 linebackers into pass coverage, Mark. Those linebackers hate doing that. He loves the opportunity to rush that quarterback, and 4 sacks, and we're still in the first half.
This is Brandon Williams out of the end zone, yard deep. Williams brought down shy of the 15 by Goldsberry. Action on both sides of the ball today. With 4:05 to go. Folks, take a look at the new color of money. The new color of money. That's right, the redesigned $20 bill now in circulation.
It's about where Alex Lewis has had a couple of those sacks.
Yeah.
He's going to be putting a few of those in his pocket. He keeps playing like this, Mark.
No doubt. Could be hundreds.
NFL love guys like that can run and make plays.
Backs out of the eye on 1st down and 10, Anthony Davis. Davis tackled back at the 16 by Kudavides. Now let's go to our Davis, Reese.
All right, Mark, coming up on the Miller High Life halftime report. Miami, a little sluggish start, got things going. And, Mark, 7 teams in the fight in the Big Ten.
And they're all great teams. Whoever wins the Big Ten, they will definitely be battle-tested.
And we'll talk about teams trying to bounce back from a tough loss, both Nebraska and Texas, playing well so far today.
And you know what? If they make good points, they're going to rush out and hug one of our cameramen.
Yes.
Can't wait to see it. 2nd down and 8. Georgie completes the pass to the lanky Darren Charles. About a yard shy of the 1st down at the 22. About a yard and a half shy. It'll be 3rd down and short.
We're seeing both teams using these big, tall receivers. Pretty good protection. Good job at Jim Sorge. He's stepping up right there. Darren Charles at about 6'6" or 6'7", makes the play.
Bernstein, the fullback, coming to the ball game, along with Tony Pachotti at tight end on 3rd down and short. And a timeout call down in the field. With 2:54 to go in the first half. A first half in which Purdue has proven to be very opportunistic, converting on a couple of Wisconsin turnovers. They lead by 4 when we come back. Back at Camp Randall Stadium on an absolutely resplendent Saturday afternoon. 3rd down and short for the Badgers. Important that they hang on to the ball, losing the battle of time of possession right now. Almost 2-1. Davis got the 1st down just beyond the 25. Schweigert made the tackle for the Boilermakers. Let's go down to Holly.
Guys, that was such a critical pickup right there. Wisconsin's defense has been on the field so much here in the first half. They are over on the sideline, just completely exhausted. You'd think from their body language that it's the 3rd or 4th quarter. That's why keeping the offense on the field is so critical right now for Wisconsin. Give their defense a breather.
Well, and I think a great point by Holly, because think about last week, that Ohio State game. That was a huge, huge emotional game. And then the way this game unfolded early, a huge emotional thing for Wisconsin.
And Lee Evans, Bob, making a reception for the 1st down, which stops the clock at the 38-yard line.
Lee Evans right here, just the simple deep out cut against zone coverage. Jacques Reeves respecting that big home run as he should. Lee Evans, a great, great story and a great kid, Mark.
Continues to author one of the best comeback stories in all of college football this year. Missed last season because of 2 knee surgeries. Now back and as good as before. First down and 10. Sorgi looking at Evans. He wanted the out and up, but he's sacked back at the 35-yard line with 2:28 to go in the half. The 4th sack of the day for Purdue.
The same play that Wisconsin scored against Ohio State on the big 79-yard touchdown. The out and up right here on Jacques Reeves. Great recovery right here by Jacques Reeves. But Mark, that's how they scored to break that game open last week on that same play call.
I've been listening to you, man. They call that the 56 jerk. I'm in your lab learning. 2nd and 12. Sorgi. Pass complete to Owen Daniels, and it's loose. Purdue's got it. Dante Farrell. And the Boilermakers have their 3rd turnover of the ball game. Purdue ball in Wisconsin territory.
Owen Daniels, the converted quarterback. The ball is stripped out of there by Landon Johnson. We're going to get another look at it right here. Mark, that football definitely came out. Landon Johnson stripped the football. Dante Farrell comes up with the recovery. Dante Farrell, a young guy who really has been beaten out by Bernard Pollard. Big turnover, big strip right there by Landon Johnson, getting the football back for Purdue.
Purdue with plenty of time. 1:43 to go in the half at the 43 of the Badgers. Orton fires complete. Stubblefield trying to get out of bounds. The clock keeps running. Ball at the 39 of Wisconsin. Purdue with a couple of timeouts remaining.
And you talk about hot. Kyle Orton, 25 for 29 on this game, Mark.
2nd down and about 5 to go. Stubblefield again near the 1st down marker, about a yard shy of the 34. Lamar Watkins in on the coverage for Wisconsin.
And one thing that is obvious, if Purdue can pass protect, in particular against number 12, Alex Lewis, they can throw and catch the ball. So it's not about Wisconsin's coverage, it's about Wisconsin's pass rush.
Man, Kyle Orton, somebody better throw water on him. This guy is burning up. He is hot.
We talked about the old Purdue, already 30 pass attempts. It is the old Purdue.
There was a time, 97, they threw 83 times in the game against Wisconsin. Orton wisely threw it away. Wisconsin not biting on the fake. This afternoon on ABC, a great lineup of regional college football. In the Spotlight game, BCS Spotlight game presented by AGT, Iowa takes on Ohio State. Texas Tech takes on Oklahoma State, and Cal takes on UCLA out west. Check the local listings for the game available in your area.
Mark, the reason Purdue went with the trickeration right there on 3rd and short, Joe Tiller had already made up his mind that he was going to go for it on 4th and short if they didn't make it. So in some ways, it was a waste down. But now, trying to block these big, strong defensive linemen from Wisconsin on an obvious run situation, see if the strategy backfires on Joe Tiller.
Time to man up. Brandon Jones, close. Not sure that he got there. They'll measure. Purdue 4 of 8 in 4th down conversion situations on the season. Ryan Aiello made the tackle on the play. The free safety for the Badgers.
But interesting, Joe Tiller, 3rd and 1, throws it, tries to get the home run, knowing he's going to come back in 4th and 1 and go for it. But Mark, this is a difficult front to even pick up a yard. You going to go out on a limb here?
Didn't make it. Well, the defense comes through after the turnover and stops Purdue offensively.
Well, and the strategy, to be quite honest, I know why Joe Tiller did it, to get the home run, but you had 2 downs right there to gain a yard. by the trickeration, you ended up with only 1 down to make a yard, and Wisconsin gets off the field.
Joe Tiller, traditionally not afraid of taking some risks. First down and 10 for the Badgers with 1:03 to go in the first half. Sorgi incomplete for Davis at the 35. Sean Phillips was pressuring the quarterback. Both teams, Bob, respectively, have had good pass rushes. Both offensive lines have had a tough time today.
Mark, I think it's a byproduct of both teams throwing the football a little bit more than they have over the last several weeks. I mean, Purdue has been a running team. Wisconsin, we know, is a running team. But both teams throwing it more than they probably really want to.
Wisconsin only threw the ball 10 times in the entire game last week. Davis on the handoff. Anthony Davis tackled at the 43 by Landon Johnson. 47 seconds to go. Got to take care of the clock here, perhaps get in field goal range. And Barry Alvarez trying to use one of his timeouts.
Well, they squandered away some valuable time right there in the indecision on whether to or whether not to take that timeout, Mark. I will make one statement to you right here, Mark.
Go ahead, Mark.
Wisconsin will come out in the second half, regardless of what happens here at the end of this first half, and run the football. Wisconsin is a 2-back running football team. They've gotten away from it a little bit here because the flow of the game has dictated that they get away from it. But at halftime, Wisconsin will come back out and run this football.
That's their personality. Of course, that's what worked so well for them last week at the defining moment of the game, and that is the key cog in the Wisconsin offense. Back and acquitting himself pretty well here this afternoon. Anthony Davis I'm talking about. And coming up at halftime, it's the Miller High Life halftime report. Reese Davis, Trev Alberts, and Mark May in the studio. Temple up against Miami. Other Big Ten teams in action today. And Nebraska looking to bounce back after losing against Missouri last week. And Texas also looking to bounce back.
And Mark, talking about that point, Wisconsin with 59 rushing yards so far in this football game. They're averaging 210 yards a game, 13th in the NCAA. Like to play 3 running backs in there, take advantage of that depth by wearing you down. This is not a typical Wisconsin football game, but at halftime, trust me, they will go back to typical Wisconsin football as long as they don't fall any farther behind.
Trailing by just 4 right now on 3rd down and 1.
Stuart Schwaggart coming on the strong safety blitz, Mark.
Here he comes. Picked up by Davis. Incomplete. And no flag on the play. Bosiak, the intended receiver, the tight end.
Jim Sargent's pass incomplete.
Landon Johnson, the linebacker, running with his back turned right down the field right here. Now, as we let this roll, yeah, Mark, he got in there a little bit early. That should have been pass interference without a doubt. Bosiak, no opportunity to catch that football. Tough break for Wisconsin here at the end of the first half.
Anthony Chambers, number 4, a dangerous punt return man for Purdue. Last week's conference special teams man of the week. Let's it bounce. It takes a Badger bounce down to the 11-yard line. Nothing on the return after a 56-yard punt. Most of it coming on the roll, and Kyle Orton has had a pretty good, well, a career day in the first half almost. Finding his targets early and often in the ball game, really catching Wisconsin off balance. Stubblefield with one of the 2 touchdowns today for Purdue. Now they have the ball 1st down and 10 at their own 11-yard line. He has chucked it.
He has. We've seen him. His last chuck took place on that last series, Mark. They're going to come out right here and just kill the clock, go in at halftime right here and regroup. But an impressive display by Kyle Orton in the first half.
They take the knee. That'll be the last play of the first half. Purdue 5-0 when leading this year at the break. A good sign for the Boilermakers, and basketball on grass is back. The Wisconsin Badgers coming into this game expected a little bit more balance. Right now, let's join Reese Davis, Trev Alberts, and Mark May with the Miller Highlights halftime report. The Badgers have been bamboozled.
And welcome back to Madison on homecoming. Just a great scene here. A sea of red, the homecoming king of green riding around in a big red Viper. And at halftime, it's the visiting Boilermakers on top. Chris Lee and Kirk here. Hey, very strong start by Kyle Orton, the Purdue quarterback. I think Joe Tiller kind of lulled us to sleep. He said it was going to be old-fashioned field possession. Nope, 26 of 31 for Orton. He's now gone 33 quarters without throwing an interception. Did have the one fumble return for a touchdown.
Well, you're right. I think coming into this game, we expected Purdue with this balance. Last week, they dominated Penn State late in the game with the ball control offense, running the football. But Wisconsin's defense is dictating what Purdue's doing on offense because they're sitting back, 6 defensive backs. Purdue's spreading it all over the place. I'll tell you, I'd love to see how many quick slants Orton is hitting the first half. Wisconsin's got to make some kind of adjustments because not only is he throwing the football, they're eating the clock. I think it's 20-10 time of possession.
But I think Purdue's doing a smart thing by trying to keep everything inside of them. And then what I think they need to do in the second half is they need to punish those receivers and force turnovers when the receivers catch the football.
Well, the guy who's twice turned around momentum in this first half for Wisconsin, Alex Lewis, he had 1 sack all season. He's had 3 sacks in the forced fumble. Both sides really have some pass protection issues going into the second half. What would you do?
Well, the first thing I'd do is I'd get that number 28, Anthony Davis, the football. Not only hand it to him, but I run swing passes and screens. That guy is a home run hitter for Wisconsin. And number 3, Lee Evans, they've got to throw the football in his direction somehow. Evans and Davis could win this game for Wisconsin.
You got to wonder how much Davis is going to be able to hold up with the ankle. That'll be a big thing in this game. Purdue loses this game if they lose it by themselves. Their defense is dominating the game. They've been playing very well. Their offense is controlling the clock. The only way Purdue loses in the second half is if they beat themselves with turning the football over or their defense has a breakdown mentally. Purdue's too good on defense for this one-dimensional attack. Make Jim Sorgi throw the ball to beat you, and you win the game. That's what they did in the first half. You take away that interception return for a touchdown, Purdue's up big.
Obviously, they've used Davis sparingly. Maybe they don't feel like his ankle can really hold up. But as for getting the ball to Lee Evans, you got to block Phillips. You can't go downfield if you can't block Phillips off the edge.
1-5 and White is pretty good.
Yeah, but even if you have to throw little quick screens to him or something, just get the ball in his hands and let him run all the way.
Yeah. Watch the ankle.
All right, you guys were split on this game coming in, right?
I know. I got
Wisconsin. It's been a spirited debate here on the sidelines. We're up to see how things play out. You going to hold by your predictions?
Absolutely.
Oh, what, you think we're going to change now? No, I'm just
Wisconsin wins 24-21.
24-21.
Fourth quarter, they score a lot of points.
Fourth quarter. You always say that Purdue must have a lead in this game in the fourth quarter.
By at least 14 points, because Wisconsin's going to come back.
Lee had a great comment in the first half. He said, "I'm so glad I'm not the coach at Indiana anymore."
Right.
He said, "It's a good-looking Purdue team."
That old Oak and Bucket game, forget it, Indiana. These guys are really good.
No shot.
We've had fun. Back upside, Mark and Bob in the booth, guys.
All right, guys. Chris Lee, Kirk, maybe you guys can jump aboard that Viper and get a ride, get a good seat, and watch the second half. Joe Tiller, Bob Davies, said that he wanted to create an air of and an atmosphere of fun going on the road. This is the first of a critical stretch for them. Some big road games lie ahead for Purdue on their schedule. It'll be a lot more fun if they can keep playing this well offensively.
Yeah, and I think fun for Joe Tiller's obviously coming in here and throwing it 31 times in the first half. Kyle Orton, 82% completion. For Wisconsin, it's all about getting the football. You know, Purdue with 47 plays. I think Wisconsin with 24 plays in the first half, almost doubled the number of plays by Purdue. So Wisconsin has to get the football back, not fall any farther behind, and then line up and run the football and test Purdue. Purdue's defense has not been tested yet.
One of the things coming into the ball game, one of the big questions that begged was Anthony Davis. How do you think the ankle looks? How do you think he's acquitted himself?
Well, he hasn't carried it enough to really find out, but he looks quick to me. On the opportunities he has had, he's really looked like he exploded. But what about the game day, guys? I thought the Rolling Stones were in town when I pulled into the stadium today, Mark. I mean, there were traffic jams.
All kinds of security they need.
That big
control.
old van, that big Helm Depot van with their pictures up on the side.
And has Chris Fowler ever really held a drill like
No, because he had to drill. I saw in the picture on the big Home Depot. He had to drill face the wrong way. So it's obvious he doesn't do a whole bunch of home improvement around that house now.
They're looking for the switch on that thing, and Brooks returns it out to the 28-yard line. Let's take a look at our Gateway game track so far. Purdue with 14 points off of 2 Wisconsin turnovers to start the ball game. Orton started off white hot. 84% of his passes completed to 6 different receivers. And Alex Lewis having a day so far with 4 sacks. And a hug of the official, too. First down and 10. Purdue will start from its own 26.
First possessions of the second half, always critical, Mark. But I think what's critical about this is if Wisconsin can stop Purdue, only trail by 3 or 4 points, they have a chance to stay in rhythm offensively. If you're Wisconsin, you don't want to fall behind by double-digit amounts.
Well, Orton starts the second half the same way he started the game. Complete to Standerford at the 35. Let's go down to Holly.
Guys, well, I talked with Joe Tiller at halftime, and he said he told his kids in the locker room to stay within the plan. I said, was the plan all along to come out and throw the ball like this? And he said, we're in Madison, aren't we? I talked to Barry Alvarez, and he told his team that they came out flat, but he liked how they responded. They've also changed some leverages in the secondary. He said they didn't have a good game plan going in on that secondary, but they've made those adjustments. He also said that they will mix it up here in the second half, not necessarily just run the ball. Guys?
All right, and here's Orton scrambling on second down. He's proven to be very elusive. Tiptoes out of bounds at the 37. Apparently good enough for the first down.
And Holly talks about Wisconsin changing leverage of their secondary. What Barry Alvarez is referring to is on the widest wide receivers, Wisconsin has been playing really outside leverage, even though they have wide splits with the receivers of Purdue, and that's giving them the slant. Wisconsin's going to try to get those corners lined up inside a little bit more and take away those inside routes by Purdue.
Here's Orton on first down, complete over the middle to Stubblefield. Chopped down at the 42 by Scott Starks. A nice open field tackle by this junior corner. Stubblefield very good, Bob, in that slot position, running those option routes.
That's his 11th catch of the day, Mark. And run after the catch is so critical for a guy like Tyler Stubblefield because he catches those little option routes and those underneath routes.
And Alex Lewis, meanwhile, on the sidelines, came out for that last play. Orton gets rid of it quickly again. The ball on the ground, and they're going to rule incomplete. Anthony Chambers couldn't squeeze it for long enough. It'll be third down and 6. Chambers looked like he had it, Bob, and then lost it.
Mark, it's tough to tell because obviously it's in slow motion right there.
Right.
Not much debate, though, on the sidelines by Barry Alvarez and his staff, so probably a good call right there.
Third and 6. Orton going to take off and got the first down. Tiptoed out of bounds. He knew exactly where the marker was. He gives the official some help and spotted the ball himself.
And anytime, Mark, you spread that field with 5 wide receivers, there's going to be lanes in there. And you look right here, I mean, that's a pretty good running lane for Kyle Orton. Again, he shows an improvement over what we've seen in the past. But please, Kyle, tuck that football away.
Hey, he spot the ball himself afterwards, too, Bob.
I don't think that's what you call great ball security right there, Mark, with it swinging over top of his head, do you?
Hasn't hurt him so far. But yeah, it's pretty dangerous. First down and 10. Out near midfield at the 49. Orton out of the shotgun. Takes off again. And got another first down. Holding that ball very loosely still. Kyle Orton with his second consecutive run and scramble for good yardage. That time he picked up 11.
And we've had a chance to watch Kyle Orton. I think one thing that really helps him, if you remember back to last year, Mark, alternating quarterbacks. Kyle Orton and Brandon Kirsch. This year, it's Kyle Orton's show. And I think he is so much more confident because Purdue's coaches are confident in him.
Paying off in this ball game. Almost tripling the amount of first downs that Wisconsin has. Pass completed the 30-yard line to John Standiford. Gain of about 8. It'll be second down and 2.
Mark, what's really happening here is Wisconsin is not a man-to-man coverage team. Here you see him again in zone coverage, and Standiford just sits down between Mack and Starks, the corner. Because Wisconsin cannot or chooses not to lock up and play man-to-man coverage with an accurate quarterback and experienced receivers, there's a bunch of creases in there.
Second down and 3. Alex Lewis apparently still on the Wisconsin sidelines. A predetermined run, it seemed, that time by Orton, picking up another Purdue first down at the Wisconsin 19-yard line. Orton told you he's a 4'9" guy.
I'm starting to believe him, but I think I could have run through that hole. I mean, that is just a gaping hole right there. But once again, when you're playing a quarterback like Kyle Orton, it's not like playing Drew Brees, where you're spying a guy for quarterback runs and things. So he's taking advantage right now, and they're going to stay with this 5-wide spread the field package, Mark.
On first down and 10, Purdue. Orton has his man, Stubblefield, near another first down, pushed out just shy of the 10 at the 11 by Chucky Cowens, the 5'8" junior corner.
Now Kevin Cosgrove comes back and plays man-to-man coverage. But anytime you don't play a lot of man, it's tough to lock up and play. And here Chucky Cowens gets beat back outside. It's difficult when you play zone, you practice zone, than to switch gears and try to play man. That time, Mark, no contest right there on that option.
Stubblefield gaining the advantage on second down and 1 now. Rod Voigt, the lone back. 4 receivers in on the formation. Into the end zone. They threw it up on the alley-oop. Incomplete, intended for Ingraham. Working against the shorter Scott Starks. At 6'9" against 5'10", Bob.
You hit the nail on the head, Mark. 6'9", 5'10", right here at the top. Big Ingraham.
That's a post-up.
You know more about that stuff than I do, so I'm going to let you take that replay. Talk to me about it.
It'd be little to say, hey, I got a mouse in the house. Throw it up. Third down and short. Ingraham's going to watch this one. Backs line up out of the eye. Power football, they get the first down. Rod Voigt getting up slowly, tackled by Good.
And interesting, Joe Tiller didn't play with it that time. 3rd and 1, he lined up and ran the football. If you remember back at the end of the first half, he got a little bit tricky, a little bit greedy, and tried to get the big one on 3rd and 1.
Bob, this is going to be the 12th play of the Purdue drive. If there's any doubt why the Boilermakers led the conference in time of possession, this is a perfect example.
And those great running backs from Wisconsin, Mark, they're sitting over there on that sidelines right now.
Brandon Jones in at tailback. They run the toss. Jones trying to get to the edge. And they string it out. Pushed out of bounds at the 6-yard line by Rowan. And a flag down. A late flag as Rowan got a hand up in Jones's face mask.
And Mark, Levon Rowan bulldogged Brandon Jones into that fence over there by the sidelines, and you're going to get a 15-yard personal foul or a half the distance personal foul penalty right here.
Yeah, Timbers and Mack letting him know about it. Alex Lewis now coming back onto the field for Wisconsin.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit out of bounds. Defense. Penalized half the distance to the goal. First down.
And Mark, this is really dangerous. You see right here, Levon Rowan. Right there is what he got. It wasn't so much he bulldogged him into the fence. That was stupid right there by Levon Rowan. Good job right here of pulling off.
And they run it here on 1st and goal and run the around play, end around John Goldsberry. Now let's go back to Reese.
All right, guys, Texas alive and well and rolling over Iowa State. Vince Young and a quarterback. Both guys have played. Young started and drops a beautifully thrown ball right on B.J. Johnson. Longhorns up 24-0 late in the first half.
Right, Reese back here, 2nd down and goal from the 3. 5 wide out formation, an empty formation by Purdue.
Amazing, isn't it, Mark? Ball on the 3-yard line, 2nd and goal, and they're a 5 wide receiver, empty formation. And Wisconsin in straight man, they bring the extra blocker back in to protect against the blitz. Kyle Orton sees the plan.
Pass incomplete off of the hands of Stubblefield. Aiello defending on the play.
Mark, I guess I am old school, but at some point, it was 1st and goal on the 3-yard line. You run a reverse on 1st down. You get empty and throw the ball on 2nd down. This is a pretty talented Purdue offensive line and a running back contingent. I'm surprised they didn't line up and just run the football right there to try to get it in the end zone.
Here we go with 2 tights and 2 wideouts. A single back. It's Brandon Jones. They run the fade. Incomplete and a flag. Levon Rowan was riding Ingraham.
Mark, I think you said it exactly right. Once again, look at the size differential. No question right there. That left hand was in there grabbing Jersey.
Ingraham, a huge target, but yeah, you see the left hand right there.
Left hand hooked him, Mark. Tough call. Probably a good call.
1st and goal again.
I imagine Joe Tiller will be a little more old school right here, getting an opportunity again to get a fresh set of downs and line up and run the football north and south, Mark.
Well, he has proven to be one thing, unpredictable so far in this ball game. Jones, the lone back. Goldsberry offset. And they stone them right up the middle. Alex Lewis back in, and he lets Purdue feel his presence. Sean Phillips there, the defensive end, also in on offense for Joe Tiller.
Mark, and they come back again with the 5 wide receiver empty set here on 2nd down, and Wisconsin matches up with their substitution, bringing in extra defensive backs.
This is the 16th play, Bob, of the Purdue drive.
Incredible, Mark.
Second and goal. Orton out of the shotgun. Incomplete. Intended for Standiford. It'll be 3rd down and goal. This Wisconsin defense doing pretty well with their backs to the end zone for so many consecutive plays.
You're right, Mark, and we talked about Scott Starks. Got his hands on 7 balls in the last 2 weeks of the season. And Scott Starks made a great football play getting that football out of there.
Purdue is having to work for everything here in the red zone. Ingraham split out wide to the top of your screen. The tall receiver, and now timeout going to be called by Purdue. They've had the ball for the entire 2nd half so far. Joe Tiller matching wits against Kevin Cosgrove when we come back. Purdue with the ball. An impressive long drive to begin the 2nd half. 3rd down from the 3. 3rd and goal. The ball on the 3 here in the 3rd quarter of play. The Wisconsin defense has been stout so far, Bob.
They have, Mark, but you also see the disadvantage of being a spread offense. When that field closes down and you have a short area in which to operate, the advantage goes to the defense. Here for the 2 tight ends.
The single back is Brandon Jones. Ingraham on the fade. Incomplete and no flag. It was intended for Ingraham. That time, LeVon Rowan defending it well.
I tell you what, that was close again, but credit Wisconsin's defense. Purdue with 8 plays inside the 10-yard line, couldn't get the touchdown. We're going to look at the top again. Wow.
See Rowan pull his hands back
The
as the ball got there.
The thing that's difficult, the consistency or lack of consistency, Mark, in those 2 calls. He actually got his hands more on Ingraham that time than he did on the first pass interference.
Yeah. And from the sharp angle, Ben Jones, Mr. Automatic, now 12 out of 14 on the season. 2 for 2 on the day. Joe Tiller will take the 3 nonetheless. Boilermakers looking for their 6th straight win when we come back. Duty here on campus at the University of Wisconsin. Purdue leading by 7, but Bob, Purdue leading the time of possession battle 24-10. A look at that scoring drive. What does that do to Wisconsin's defense?
I'll tell you what, Mark, 18 plays is a bunch of plays. So that's going to take its toll on Wisconsin's defense, who has been on the field really all afternoon. But the positive, it keeps it a 7-point game, so Wisconsin can still stay in rhythm and run this football.
This will be the first time that their offense touches the ball in the second half. Brandon Williams from the 7. They've been working on their kickoff returns and their special teams units, and nice return out to the 31 tonight on ESPN at 7:45 Eastern. Bobby Bowden leads number 7 Florida State into Charlottesville to take on Virginia. FSU has won the last 7 meetings since their 95 game, and this game also seen in HD TV. Now available nationwide. 7:45 Eastern on ESPN2. We head to the SEC. Number 10 LSU takes on South Carolina. And Fight Song Frenzy debuts tonight on the 7 o'clock College Game Day scoreboard, presented by Suzuki with Reese, Trev, and Mark. You, the fan, can vote for which fight song is the best. Tonight's contestants: Texas Tech, Indiana, and North Carolina. Get you to hum a few bars for me, Bob?
Mark, we have an injured player down on the field, and
Patrick Schaub, yeah.
Patrick Schaub, and there's more injuries in change of possession plays. In other words, when the ball is kicked or the ball's intercepted and the team's returning, the change of possession plays, that's where the biggest amount of injuries take place. And
any
Patrick
theories
Schaub,
as to why?
Well, I think there's just change of direction and a lot of open field plays and different angles, Mark, and injuries always crop up in those situations.
All right, this is the first time Wisconsin's had the ball here in the second half. Backs lining up out of the eye. It's Bernstein, the fullback, and Davis. Anthony Davis. And a nice tackle by Stu Schweiger, knifing in, lacerating in like a missile. The All-American senior, 6'3", making a nice stop.
And Stuart Schweiger came into this game taking it personal because Jim Leonard last year was named Big Ten free safety on first team all-conference. That's a great play right there, getting that safety involved in a run. But he bowed up a little bit when Jim Leonard's name came up, and he took it personal last year because Leonard was the first team all Big Ten pick.
2nd down and 9. Georgie completes it to Evans. Evans with a first down in midfield. Working on Jock Reeves. Evans with his 146th career reception, climbing the charts.
That time, Brock Spack brought Stuart Schweiger on the strong safety blitz. Number 9 right there going underneath Anthony Davis. Great shot on Jim Sorgi. But you come back with Lee Evans, one-on-one coverage, Jock Reeves, the curl route, and the spin move, gaining yards after the catch. But great job of Jim Sorgi standing in there against that strong safety blitz, Mark.
First down and 10. A 19-yard pickup. And here's Davis brought down immediately. And then Sorgi kept it. Are they going to rule a fumble? They're going to say that he's down. And they're motioning to the sidelines, looking at Jim Sorgi. Medical staff coming in to attend to Sorgi. Remember last week, Sorgi, after being choked, Shabert came in, was 2 of 3 passing, had the big hit to Lee Evans, 79 yards for the deciding blow in victory. Let's take one more look at exactly what happened to Jim Sorgi.
Mark, Wisconsin again runs the quarterback to side play where he sees Nesfeld down inside, so he pulls the football. But with anything, there's a trade-off, and unfortunately, Jim Sorgi right here is going to be injured on this play.
Came down awkwardly, Bob.
He did, Mark, and it's difficult to say exactly what happened right there, but it looks like that right knee bent back in an extremely awkward angle.
Well, his teammates immediately motioned to the sidelines and the medical staff to come out and attend to their fallen quarterback.
Mark, you really hate to speculate, but the way he gave up that football and obviously the pain he showed immediately, you know, that's a bad sign right there, and the way his teammates reacted.
Well, offensive coordinator Brian White has the highest of confidence in the backup quarterback, Shabert. More on Sorgi when we come back to Madison. Welcome back to Madison, Wisconsin. Big story brewing on the sidelines for the Badgers. That's their starting quarterback, Jim Sorgi, being helped off the field to the sidelines, going down just a few moments ago. In the ball game now, Matt Shabert, who came in last week with a heroic effort to win the game against Ohio State. 2nd down and 6 for Wisconsin. Shabert going to wing it right away. And sacked back at the 47-yard line. I intoned about last week against Ohio State. Here's what it looked like. He came in after Sorgi was choked and had to leave the ball game, and threw the 79-yard strike to Lee Evans for the touchdown score with 5:20 to go in the ball game. Evans torching Jenkins on the corner. Shabert finished 2 of 3 passing for 104 yards and that one score which was good enough to win the ball game.
Marking the gamut of emotions you go through in college football from week to week is incredible. Wisconsin now sees their starting quarterback Jim Sorgi go down. Matt Shabert in the game.
3rd and 7, and he's sacked again, Bob. Back at the 48 by Landon Johnson. Let's go down for more on Sorgi from Holly Rowe.
Guys, as Sorgi came over to the sideline, he was not able to put any weight on his left knee. Right now, they are examining it to see if he has any ligament damage. He is in a lot of pain. He does not look like he's going to return imminently. We'll let you know as soon as we find out if he has torn anything in that left knee.
Yeah, Holly, not the way that he came off the field. Morrison to punt for the Badgers, and how quickly the tide can change in this game. 4th down and 12. Morris with his 3rd punt of the day. A line drive spiral. Chambers calls for the fair catch, and it takes a huge Purdue bounce out to the 26. Well, tomorrow night, don't miss a special encore presentation of ESPN's original entertainment, critically acclaimed Playmakers. Catch up on the action from the beginning with episodes 1 and 2 beginning at 9 Eastern time. And it's interesting, Bob, how DH has kind of turned into a better guy of late, although still not someone that you'd want to call a role model.
Well, I'm glad you said better and not good, but I'll tell you what, every Tuesday night, my son Clay and I sit down and watch Playmakers. Man, it's hard to stop watching that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's entertaining now.
Leon and his family, his wife rallying around each other, and why did the charges brought on by the district attorney's office, too. 1st down and 10. And a pall has fallen over Camp Randall here as Purdue runs the ball. One of the few times today, Gerard Boyd stopped by Hawthorne. Let's go to Reese.
Mark Keppel just won't go away from Miami, forced to punt here. Should somebody mention now that DJ Williams used to be a fullback? Uh-oh. Nobody home in the middle of the field, and on the fake punt, oh, DJ's going to put one little move on, slip that tackle. 61 yards, he houses it. See, he could have stayed in the backfield if he weren't such a great linebacker.
Good run. 2nd down and 8. Empty formation for Orton. Quarterback draw, and it's plugged up at the line by Antaj Hawthorne. He is one of the top players in the conference at his position. Big physical guy from Hamden, Connecticut. Had a couple of sacks last week against Ohio State, a couple of hurries. Really becoming an enforcer up front.
Yeah, marking 12 tackles for losses now, leads the Big Ten in tackles for losses. So you know he's explosive, but you know what? It's Alex Lewis time right now. Kevin Cosgrove is going to use him as the 4th rusher right here. Interesting to see if Purdue keeps the tight end in the block.
It brings some pressure. Orton sacked. by number 42. Robert Brooks, the backup strong safety, makes the big play.
Great changeup by Kevin Cosgrove. Right here, everybody's focus is on keeping these two guys on Alex Lewis, but here comes Robert Brooks on the safety blitz from the backside, Mark. That is a great call by Kevin Cosgrove, the defensive coordinator.
Slanton with the Purdue punt, driving Leonard all the way back to the 23. Jim Leonard took one back last week. Stopped up at the 47-yard line. A 56-yard punt, but 22 yards on the return. The reins of the offense now belong to this guy, Matt Schaber, the 6'2", 203-pound junior. And Sorgi, meanwhile, moving gingerly on the sidelines for Wisconsin.
Mark, all the focus on Schaber right now, but to me, the focus is really on that supporting cast. These offensive linemen right here, this running back and these receivers can make it a lot easier on this quarterback.
Bernstein in motion in the left guard. Left side of the offensive line moving quickly, and let's go down to Holly.
Guys, on the sideline, Jim Sorgi got up. He has been able to put some weight on that left knee. He put his helmet back on, started grabbing a ball to warm up like he could get back in the game. The trainer came over and told him they don't think they want him to go back in. He threw the ball. He's very disappointed because he knows that his toughness has been questioned before. He wants to make a point of proving how tough he is, but it does not look like they're going to let him go back in the game at this time.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Holly, great point. One thing for sure, Wisconsin coaches have never, ever questioned Jim Sorgi's toughness. They love him. So there may have been a little bit on the outside at some point, but when you talk to Barry Alvarez, Jim Sorgi is a warrior now.
Yeah, they trust him. That time, Davis brought down immediately by Landon Johnson. Back to Sorgi. He proved it actually a couple of games ago against Illinois. Took a shot in the sternum, came out of the ball game for a brief play, and then came right back in, insistent, demanding that he get back into the ball game.
Mark, and do you realize how much this kid has invested? He's been here forever. A long time backup to Brooks Bollinger, went through the highs and lows this year, but has played extremely well over the last 4 weeks. And right now, he realizes he has a serious injury.
He has been through the meat grinder here, like all of his predecessors at Wisconsin. Schaber setting up the screen, tipped up, and knocked down at the line of scrimmage by Jolovic.
But Mark, Schaber needs some help. On first down, they have the procedure penalty. It sets them back. On second down, they can't run the football. Excuse me, on second down, they come back and run the screen. So he needs some help from this supporting cast. A kid like Schaber, he won't come in here and win it on his own now.
Difficult to run, Bob, when you're behind at this point of the game.
I don't think when you're only 7 points behind, but I mean, on 3rd and 15, it's difficult to run, and it's because of the penalty on first down.
Schaber under heat and sacked. Back at the 35, Sean Phillips coming off of the edge and bringing some noise.
Again, Wisconsin, a running team that has thrown when they want to. Now they have to throw when they have to. Sean Phillips again on the speed rush on Mike Lorenz. No contest, Mark, but Wisconsin throwing because they have to, not because they're throwing like when they want to, like they have the last several weeks.
R.J. Morrison to punt for the 2nd consecutive possession. That was the 7th sack of the day for Purdue. Chambers going to get a chance to return this at the 15. Hit and brought down at the 27, a 10-yard return, and let's go back to Reese.
All right, Mark, Boston College and Syracuse, and chances are Boston College's punt team is going to be personally offended by Anthony Smith. Smith blocks the punt and then scoops it up. Coach P special teams have been very good the last few years, and they are laying a whipping on the ACC-bound Eagles.
Sometimes it's business, sometimes it's personal, Bob. I think that one's a little personal.
Yeah, and Syracuse pounded last week down in Blacksburg. Amazing each week in college football, Mark. It's like the stock market, man. It's up and down, baby.
Heck of a ride. First down and 10 for Purdue. Standiford incomplete. He's 2nd down and 10. One of the few times he's dropped them today. Folks, let's take a look at the new color of money. The redesigned $20 bill now in circulation. Bob, I hit the ATM a few times. I still haven't been fortunate enough to see the new color of money, but then again, I'm red-green colorblind, so what do I know? I know what money looks like, though. 2nd and 10. Orton's been money offensively for Purdue this afternoon. Now audibling at the line.
Wisconsin in man-to-man coverage. Kyle Orton makes the audible.
Finds his receiver on the quick slant. Standiford with a first down at the 49. He beat Chucky Cowens on the quick slant. A 12-yard pickup on the play.
Mark, we mentioned earlier, you don't all of a sudden just play man-to-man and be successful. Another slant route. Ryan Ayalo, really a touchdown-saving tackle, but it's difficult. If Wisconsin doesn't get great pressure on Purdue, Purdue is going to complete the pass. I mean, that's the reality of where we are right now.
Joe Tiller turned this team around after losing the first game of the season against Bowling Green. What has followed has been 5 consecutive wins. Bunch formation off to the left. And they run out of it. Jones stopped up by Alex Lewis. He has been ubiquitous everywhere.
Mark, I'm going to let you explain what ubiquitous is. But if that means running from sideline to sideline and make a bunch of plays, I'm with you all the way. Watch Alex Lewis right here against the run. You're going to see him come off the block of Standiford right there and make a play. But tell me about ubiquitous now. Does that mean
it's just like an omnipresent thing everywhere?
You didn't really clean it up for me.
I've been hanging around Brian White a lot, okay? The offensive coordinator. Guy's a Harvard grad. Stealing his vocabulary. 2nd down and 13.
Man-to-man coverage again by Wisconsin, Mark.
Another near completion this time, intended for Stubblefield. Cowens locking him up that time, but what a game for Alex Lewis, the 6'1 senior, 237 pounds. When he comes in the game, you just ask, paper or plastic, because he has been bagging quarterbacks with those sacks. He's got 5 of them already today. Unstoppable off the edge.
I can't let that go. I've been with you 2 years. It's the first time you pulled out the paper or plastic. He'll bag you every time, and he's going to chase again here, Mark.
Yeah, Orton on the run. Wisely steps out of bounds as Ryan Aiello had him on the scope. This guy's motor, Alex Lewis, is running 110 miles per hour.
Well, and Kelly Butler's going to get a little taste of him right now. That's about 300 pounds trying to block 212, and an open field tackle by Kelly Butler forces Kyle Orton to scramble. Good job by Wisconsin's defense, Mark, of getting the offense the ball again.
Here's the punt, and it's going to come down inside the 10. Nice special teams work by the Boilermakers and Brent Slayton. It's going to be down at about the 7, and let's go downstairs to Holly. Holly?
It's homecoming, Alan Wendell. You're with the Arizona Cardinals now. What does it feel like to be back here watching a game in Camp Randall?
Oh man, it's nerve-wracking. Especially when you're like a football guy, so you're watching everything that's going on and you're seeing it before it happens, and you can't like run out there and do anything. Like I was actually thinking about going in like halftime. I wanted to suit up, but like I talked to Barry. Barry really didn't want me to do that. He said he might be liable for some things. But it's just great. It's just great to be back here within this kind of atmosphere. And this is football. A lovely fall afternoon, packed crowd. You guys are playing some great football out here. This is what it's supposed to be.
What can you say about the defensive front? Alex Lewis is having a great day, but also Purdue's defensive front with 7 sacks.
They are fast. Their defensive ends are very fast. They're lining up. They're lining up about 3 yards outside of the ball, and they're putting the tackles on the island. They're like, if you can catch us, you can catch us. If you can't, you can't. And they're playing a great game. I've seen the safety Swigert. He's having a great game. And pretty much it's an overall great game. Both sides of the ball, they're really not giving an inch. If you're going to get someone off of the side of the ball, you got to go get it.
All right, who's going to win the Big Ten quickly?
Oh, UW. Oh, I'm not going to say Purdue. I mean, I'm from UW.
All right, thanks very much, Wendell Bryant.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Anthony Davis with the first down run, and Boy, Wisconsin really with a history of some pretty talented players, Bryant being one of them. 1:06 to go in the third quarter. Wisconsin down by 7 points, and a significant third quarter here on homecoming weekend because Jim Sorgi, the starting quarterback, has been knocked out of the ball game a few series ago with a leg injury.
One thing Wisconsin's been able to do each and every week since the UNLV game, Mark, is put the hammer down when they needed to put it down. They've been able to line up and run the football down teams' throats when they've had to.
Hayward handed it off to Davis. Davis tackled at the 22. There's a flag, though, back at the 14-yard line. Bob, you talked about Shabert trusting the guys around him, his supporting cast, his wide receivers, his backs. You're talking about him just being a facilitator right now?
And I think really, Mark, that's what they asked Jim Sorgi to do, was just be a facilitator of this offense. Their offense is not focused on the quarterback winning games for them. It's focused on the offensive line. It's focused on those running backs and then play action and throw the ball down the field to the wide receivers. But the problem Wisconsin has right now, they're being out physical to a degree by Purdue's defensive front. That time, Craig Terrell just really manhandled Raiola, the center, and got penetration. To add insult to injury, they're going to pick up a holding penalty.
And look what they've done since Sorgi's been out of the ball game. 6 plays, just 2 yards. 33 seconds to go here in the third period. The Badgers down by 7.
Mark again, Stuart Schwaggart on the strong safety blitz coming from the field right here.
Shabert, incomplete, intended for Evans on the quick slant. Antoine Rogers in on the coverage. You know, interesting is speaking with Evans, and he was talking about Rogers right there, number 12, and Reeves, the other corner. I said, they got some speed, got some track guys on the corner. I said, track guys or football guys? I said, track guys. I said, track or football guys? Evans said, track guys.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Little message there.
Yeah, Purdue's defense, 8 seniors, 4 of them fifth-year seniors. There's a bunch of experience and a bunch of ability on that field, Mark. Difficult to be in 2nd and 20 situations against this defense now.
Badgers running the ball to the 7. That was Dwayne Smith. This might be the last play of the third quarter. The Purdue Boilermakers holding on, clinging to a 7-point advantage. Brock Spack, the defensive coordinator right there. His defensive unit doing an outstanding job up front. That's the end of the third period. And a Wisconsin time-honored tradition coming up in just a few moments. Gonna get their jump on when we come back. Welcome back, everyone, to Madison, Wisconsin for the start of the fourth quarter. A few moments ago, the fans here came to get down, and this is how they do it. They jump around. Players join in, too, on the sidelines. Got to get a little jump in their offense right now. Get that jump started on 3rd and long. Shabert to pass. Completes it at the 25. Short of the first down, that's Brandon White. The other Brandon. It'll be 4th down, they'll have to punt. Gave themselves a little bit of room, though. Reeves making the stop for the Boilermakers.
Mark, and Purdue's defense has just been outstanding. I mean, 7 sacks in this football game. Wisconsin only given up 18 all year coming into this game, and it's been a combination of Wisconsin self-destructing a little bit, but Purdue's defense so far has really been dominant.
All right, Bob, and Morse with his 5th punt. Chambers looking to house one. Nice return back to the 45, a 15-yard return off the 45-yard punt. Both of these teams have been very prolific in the fourth quarter, outscoring their opponents 54-17 and 82-28 respectively, Purdue and Wisconsin.
And both teams, Mark, able to run the football late in games when teams expected them to run the football, is why they're both on winning streaks right now. And I believe we have an injured Purdue player down right in the middle of the field.
It looks like Sean Phillips, number 15, the starting defensive end, who is having a pretty good game up front, actually playing on both sides of the ball. Has a sack to his credit.
and on special teams, Mark, being a part of that punt coverage team.
Well, we talked about the fourth quarter success of both teams. Holly has more on the Purdue side of the equation.
Well, guys, for Purdue, last season was a nightmare. They had 6 games that they lost by a total of just 26 points. So this year going into the season, their goal was finish. Every single game they want to be in it in the fourth quarter, but to finish strong. They've been dominant in the fourth quarter on offense. We'll see if they can finish and meet their goal today.
Yeah, good point, Holly. Bob, we did the game when they played Iowa last year. Dallas Clark beats them on a, what, 90-something yard play in the last couple minutes of the ball game? A heartbreak.
And what was tough, they got beat in different ways on different weeks. Many times the kicking game, Mark, added to their problems. They've really rectified and solved their kicking problems, which is really a big reason they've won 5 straight games.
Orton fires high, intended for Taylor Stubblefield. Let's take a look at the Gateway game track. Kyle Orton started off red hot and for the most part has still played well. 267 yards passing and a touchdown. That one to Stubblefield. Alex Lewis with 5.5 tackles for loss, including 4 sacks and 1 hug for the official. And Jim Sorgi in the third quarter knocked out of the game on this tackle and subsequent leg injury. Second down and 10 for the Boilermakers. Wisconsin with a blitz. Orton stepped up, but is brought down to the 43 by Antaj Halfmore. It'll be third down and long for Purdue.
That time, Kevin Cosgrove comes with the maximum blitz. He brings one more than Purdue can account for. Robert Brooks, the safety, once again coming off the edge right up in the B gap. One thing about empty, Mark, you only have 5 blockers. That time, Wisconsin brought 6 rushers, and Orton didn't check out.
Looking at a third down and 11 now as a result. Orton trying to buy a little time and wisely throws it away. It'll be fourth and long. They'll punt. So neither team early in the fourth quarter able to move the ball. A 3 and out for Purdue, and Kevin Cosgrove loves it.
And Jim Leonard, one of the all-time leading punt returners in the country, has an opportunity right here. You've sensed a little change in momentum right now, Mark. Kicking game could be huge for Wisconsin right now.
They could use a long one. Leonard has returned one for a touchdown this year already. And this punt will go out of bounds at the 24-yard line. Well, the understudy has been thrust into the starting and main role under the spotlight. Shaver when we come back.
So I got
Purdue leading by 7 points with 13:09 to go in the fourth quarter over Wisconsin. And let's take a look at the new color of money, the redesigned $20 bill now in circulation. Wisconsin first down and 10 from its own 24.
Mark, a guy that's really been missing today is Brandon Williams, number 25, Wisconsin's little sophomore receiver. Came into this game with 26 catches for 430 yards, has not caught a ball today.
What they do here on first down, they're going to run it Anthony Davis. Pushed out of bounds at the 29-yard line and roughly into the bench. Let's go back to Reese.
All right, guys, Ole Miss is opening up a rebel-sized can of whooping on Alabama's backside, but Chris James trying to get the Tide a little respectability with a block punt and scooping it in. The Rebels putting together a brilliantly balanced offense. They are still unbeaten in the SEC, and they're rolling over the Tide. And Georgia sort of sleepwalking against Vanderbilt so far, scoreless about halfway through the seventh.
All right, Reese, second down and 5 after that Davis run. Backs lining up out of the eye. Bernstein, the lead back. Davis again. Breaks a couple of tackles, gets the first down at the 38-yard line. Anthony Davis. And the official hit the turf at the 35-2. It's been a rough day around for everybody.
Purdue brings Stuart Schweigert to strong safety from the field. You see him coming on the blitz, but Wisconsin runs away from it. And Anthony Davis, a great effort run right here. You're going to see the umpire right here at the end of this.
Antoine Rogers just pushed him out of the way.
Mark, that's
a little hectic in there.
Hey, that is a tough job being that umpire.
Saying, I'm okay.
That's like standing on one of those busy streets in Manhattan in the middle of the afternoon with a bunch of stuff going on around you.
Not me.
And keeping your focus.
You better man than me. First down and 10. Lee Evans ever patiently waiting for his next pass.
You know a big play action's coming. Play action pass is just win. Here it is.
Habert completes it to Davis. Came out of the backfield, sat down, and got a few more yards after the catch down to the 46. Pollard making the tackle on the play, but Anthony Davis improving his receiving skills, got 16 yards.
And right now, this offensive line of Wisconsin, they got a bunch of personality, Mark, led by this guy, Raiola. He's a fiery kid now, grew up in Hawaii. They have to take control right now. This is an impressive drive. They're getting back on rhythm.
Raiola's the guy that you want to have your back in a tight situation like he had Sorges last week. He was being choked. Wayne Smith in a tailback. This is Smith. Stopped up at the 46-yard line by Landon Johnson. Let's go to Holly.
The players for Wisconsin said that last week when Matt Schaber came into the huddle, he had a sparkle in their eyes, a real confidence about him. I've noticed that here on the sidelines today. Before he took the field for this important series, he said to his center, Donovan Raiola, let's go do this, man. They seem to be very confident right now. We'll see if they can make it pay off on the scoreboard.
Well, it's interesting, Holly. When we were leaving our meeting with Brian White yesterday, I said, Coach, not to jinx or anything, but tell us a little bit more about Matt Schaber. And he did. He said he expressed the utmost confidence in the young man. And see what he can do here in the fourth quarter. Pass complete to Brandon Williams. Bob, you were talking about him being silent. Just caught a pass working on Rogers.
Yeah, he did, and he cut the out route in front of Purdue's bench. It won't happen here, Mark, but out and up is something Wisconsin's had great success twice this season against Akron. Lee Evans, 99 yards, 79 yards against Ohio State. So anytime you see that corner bite on that out route, what do you call that play Wisconsin runs?
56 jerk. Right out of the playbook. And Lee Evans, really one of the great comeback stories in all of college football this year. Says that the added weight and strength that he gained in the year off helped him gain appreciation for the game, and he feels a lot stronger now in the fourth quarter of some games. It's now 3rd and 3.
I would think Barry Alvarez run this football twice because he knows he's going for it on 4th down.
Against the #2 rush defense in the country. They look to pass. Bernstein out of the backfield, wide open. Bernstein brought down just outside the 10. Once in a while, you got to throw him a bone.
Wisconsin loves to run the power, the off-tackle play with the fullback kicking out in short yardage. Here they fake the power, run the fullback to the flat, and he looks like Willie Mays right here with the over-the-shoulder catch. That's 275 biscuits, Mark, going down that sidelines right there. That really was a good call because I expected them to run the football, probably run the power. They come with the power pass.
First down and 10, just outside the 10. Anthony Davis between the tackles stopped at the line of scrimmage by Landon Johnson.
Matt Schaber, couple key throws on this drive, keeping this thing going right here. And once again, it's only a 7-point game. You get the feeling that it's worse than that because of some of the things that have happened with the Jim Sorgi incident and just the way this game has gone. But Mark, Wisconsin in great shape right here. Just keep executing.
This is looking like a typical quote-unquote Wisconsin drive. Running the ball with good degree of success. 2 tights, 2 wideouts, a single back, Anthony Davis, and he gets the call. Davis brought down at the 7-yard line by Schweigert and Pollard. And let's go to Holly for more on Bernstein.
Guys, Anthony Davis could have used his big fullback Matt Bernstein in there on that last run. Bernstein had to take himself out of the game after his catch. He took such a hard hit on the sideline. He ran back to the huddle and started throwing up. He ran one play and took himself out of the game. He's over on the sideline right now, kneeling down, just completely throwing up.
It's a tough game, Bob.
Well, he's probably so darn excited that he's getting to do some different things other than block that he can't control his emotions.
Third down and 6.
One-on-one coverage on both Brandon Williams and Lee Evans, Mark.
Into the end zone for Evans. Incomplete. Good coverage by Josh Reeves. The Big Ten sprint champion runs a 10.4 100 meters.
Yeah, and that track guy Lee Evans was talking about is a football player now, Mark. Really good coverage right there.
Tough catch for Evans.
Yeah, tough catch. I mean, Shabert really didn't give him an opportunity to make a play on the ball. Field goal situation right here, trying to cut this to a 4-point game.
Allen in, out of the hold of Shabert. Allen knocks it through. Allen now 5 of 6 on the season, and Bernstein looks like he's feeling a little bit better now, and so is the offense, down by just 4 when we return. Purdue leading by 4, 9:42 to go in the 4th quarter of play. Boilermakers will get the ball after the kickoff. Jim Sorgi out of the ball game. The pads have come off. Injured his knee in the 3rd quarter. Since that point, Shabert has come in, and Alex Lewis has had a huge impact on this game for the Badgers.
And think about it. He's on punt return team. He's on kickoff coverage. He has 7 tackles for today, 6 for losses, 1 forced fumble, and 4 sacks, and he wants more.
And a specialty teams demon, too. He's got a couple blocked punts this season already. Got a glimpse of his talent earlier in the season when we had their first game against West Virginia.
And since that 18-play drive to start the 2nd half, Purdue's offense really hasn't done much here for the last couple series. And you have to go back, if you're Joe Tiller, and think about that 18-play series to start the 2nd half when you had it 1st and goal on the 3 twice because of penalties. You had 8 plays inside the 10-yard line, and you only got a field goal out of it. Mark.
They may look back on that moment with regret. Tough ball game. Our umpire now back on the field, ready to go.
Mark, so much at stake in this game. Let's go back and look at it. 2 undefeated Big Ten teams coming in here today. The winner definitely has a great opportunity to go ahead and win this race. The last 3 times these teams have played, the winner has gone to the Rose Bowl.
The freshman, Jerome Brooks, left his feet dangerously and is brought down just shy of the 25-yard line. Here's today's sprint storyline. Kyle Orton, with a season-high 267 yards passing. Sorgi knocked out of the game in the 3rd quarter. Shabert in for him. 3 drives passing for 67 yards. And Purdue, as has been the pattern during the course of the regular season, they lead the conference in time of possession. But the offense, Bob, has sputtered on the last few possessions. What do they do to get it cranked back up like they did earlier?
I think they got to go back and spread the field and throw it. But when you do that, it is pass protection that has been their problem. I think they got to go back and let it rip a little bit more, Mark, like they did at the beginning of this football game.
Orton going downtown, has a man. Standiford. John Standiford put a juke on Rowan, says, see ya, and I wouldn't want to be ya. And they're going to say that he stepped out of bounds.
Mark, we talk about out and up, but we were talking about Wisconsin. Here you see a little slant and go. You see the corner, Lavon Rowan looking back in the backfield and just totally loses sight of John Standiford. But go back. How many slants has Purdue run in this football game?
Ooh, that's close, Bob.
I'll tell you what, that is close, Mark, but slant, 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 then slant and go. Great call right there by Jim Chaney.
First down and 10. Orton complete. Stubblefield down to the 13. Let's go to Reese. And Reese, tell us about the Cadillac.
Well, I tell you, Jackie Sherrill announced his retirement effective at the end of the season, and Cadillac Williams of Auburn giving the Mississippi State coach a going-away present. Caddy's motto this year has been, let's go crazy, Trev.
You know, Reese, he's wild and unpredictable. You see him outside, breaks the tackle there, has the speed to cut back, gets it all the way into the end zone. Cadillac with a touchdown for Auburn.
Boy, he is running the ball as well as any running back in the nation, guys.
You never want to trade in your Cadillac for a deuce and a quarter. First down and 10 from the 13. Orton completes it. Flag down. Stubblefield brought down to the 13. Jeff Mack wrapping him up.
Mark, we get a personal foul penalty in there on Nick Hardwick,
Joe Tiller can't believe it
the
either.
center, and I think there was a little something going on. Antaj Hawthorne hands up into the face a little bit. Hardwick, I think, retaliated, but we'll get a chance to look at it again. It's going to happen late. It's going to right there. You see the hands in the face by Hardwick, grabs that face mask. That's a good call right there. That offensive lineman can't be up in there grabbing that face mask like that. And that is a huge penalty.
Wow, back to the 28-yard line now, Bob. Under 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
But you asked me a few minutes ago, what should Purdue do offensively, Mark? I think they've done it. They've gone back and spread the field and just let it rip again like they did early in this game. Wisconsin going to blitz them right here.
Aiello coming on the blitz. Orton's got some real estate. Steps out of bounds at the 17. Make that the 18-yard line with 8:33 to go.
Anytime you come with 6 blitzers up the middle, you have to contain. Right here, Orton's going to be sacked, but there's no contain, meaning no one keeps that football boxed inside. And Orton just flushes out of there. Ryan Aiello can't track him down, but keep the football boxed in, Mark, when you bring those blitzers up the middle.
Sets up a second down and 16 now, Bob. The ball at the 18-yard line. Stubblefield and Standiford, a couple of dangerous receivers on the day.
Wisconsin playing 6 defensive backs in their dime package.
Orton calls a timeout for the Boilermakers.
Mark, that penalty was huge in this football game because this is a 4-point game. Purdue moving the football. Obviously, a touchdown puts them up by 11. Even if they kick a field goal here, Wisconsin, it's still a 7-point game. So that penalty, personal foul, was big.
8:33 to go in the fourth quarter of play. Purdue Boilermakers and Joe Tiller answering a huge road challenge today in Madison. Back after this. Back in Madison, Wisconsin for this battle between 2 undefeated teams in the Big Ten Conference. The winner of this one has a leg up at the midway point of conference play. Purdue with the ball on Wisconsin's 18-yard line. Look into the eyes of quarterback Kyle Orton on second down and 16. Empty formation again. Orton tucks it away and gets inside the 10, brought down at the 9-yard line here at Camp Randall Stadium, Madison, Wisconsin, on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon. Number 15, Purdue with the lead on number 12, Wisconsin. Mark Jones, Bob Davie, and Holly Rowe down on the field here. A look at the conference standings. Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Purdue all undefeated. Michigan State battling Minnesota as we speak. And as Joe Tiller says, this conference is wide open.
And Barry Alvarez told us yesterday, really 7 teams, any one of them could win the Big Ten.
3rd and 6. Got to get just inside the 3 for the first down. Orton into the end zone, incomplete. No flags. So the defense holds for Wisconsin.
And Mark, we go back to, did John Standerford step out of bounds on that slant and go on that huge play, or didn't he? And we also go back to the personal foul penalty on number 61, Nick Hardwick. This field goal right now, as we said before, only makes it a 7-point ball game.
Jones is 2 for 2 today, 13 of 15 on the season. This one came from just about 26 yards out. Low snap. They got it down, and it's good. 7-point lead now for Purdue, so only a touchdown will do for Wisconsin with 8:15 to go in the fourth. But one more look at John Standerford, called out of bounds on that out and up.
Actually, the slant and go, great throw right here, but the point is, did he step out of bounds?
The whistle blew, Rowan stopped, and it was called out, but
that's all that matters. I didn't see where he stepped on that line.
You know, Standerford and Stubblefield, just two players, a couple of seniors that have been in the Purdue program for as long as Joe Tiller has been there, Bob. Not what you would call explosive deep threat guys, but always very productive on offense.
Oh yeah, those two receivers, amazing what they've accomplished in their career. But Mark, the point of what a fine line between winning and losing football games. Think of all the twists and turns, the ups and downs in this game. Still only a 7-point football game. Wisconsin still has an opportunity right here to come back and make a run at this game.
Brandon Williams on the kick return. Down and alley. Williams with a nice return to the 43, and we kick it back to Reese.
5 straight weeks, guys. We've had a top 10 team lose to an unranked team. Georgia, the Music City, take on Vanderbilt. Ralph McKenzie.
Nobody blocks him. It's a D lineman's dream. And Georgia, guys, is sleepwalking right now.
They're almost at the half. Vanderbilt with a 2-run single. They're up by a deuce. SC and Notre Dame tied at 7. The Irish showing some offense. Julius Jones has scored.
Right, Reese, and 1st and 10. Good starting field position here for the Badgers. Got a field goal out of their last possession. This is Dwayne Smith. Brought down at the 46-yard line. And Bob, back to that kickoff return and the previous offensive possession. Brandon Williams starting to do some things now for Wisconsin, figuring a little more prominently in their game plan.
Yeah, I mean, this kid last year as a freshman caught 52 passes as a true freshman, 26 catches for 430 yards coming into this game, but a lot of personality. He's always been a playmaker, Mark, since his first day on campus. So just a matter of time until he got involved in this football game.
Hayward hands it off to Anthony Davis, met by Nico Kudavides, the leader of that defense. If not with his performance, then certainly vocally. The Purdue defense all season long has been the backbone of this team. 2nd in rush defense, 5th in total defense, ranking nationally in several categories. And it is laced with seniors that have been producing for 4 years now. For Brock Spack, the defensive coordinator. 3rd and 6. There's the jailbreak screen. Brandon Williams down to the 43 and a Wisconsin 1st down. Johnson making the stop. 10-yard pickup on the play.
Great call by Brian White right there. Shaver looks one way, comes back with the jailbreak the other way. You get the lineman out in front. And Mark, we talked yesterday. One thing you don't see near as much as you saw a couple years ago is the jailbreak screen. Amazing how things go in cycles.
Defense is, I guess, adjusting to things a little bit, maybe. 1st and 10. Anthony Davis dancing between the tackles. Nice gain down to the 35. Gain of about 7. Burrell making the stop. 2nd down about 3.
Mark, he's about 5'7", and watch him just dart up through this hole, find the hole, cut back. I'm telling you, if this guy would have been healthy, he is a Heisman-type back, Anthony Davis. But all that matters now, 35 yards, 5:58 left in this football game. Wisconsin driving.
90 yards on the ground, and trying to add to the total run here. Coughed it up. And Purdue got the ball right into the arms, the wanting arms of Sean Phillips. Anthony Davis with his second mishandling of the ball today.
Unbelievable, Mark. But when you're injured, as he's been injured, you don't get to practice the way you practice when you're healthy. Gilbert Gardner dislodged that football, and Sean Phillips comes back and gets the recovery. But when you're injured, it's not just on game day. It affects Monday through Friday. How many opportunities do you get to carry the football in practice,
Is
Mark?
there any way, Bob, to prevent something like that or guard against it? Can you practice against it? Can you do anything?
Nothing simulates what it's like to have Gilbert Gardner put that helmet on the football in a game, Mark.
Got a point. First down and 10 for the Boilermakers. Orton backs to pass. Flag down. He's going to come back on a hold in all likelihood. Orton brought down to the 31. Otto, the offensive lineman. It's against Purdue, and let's go back to Reese.
All right, Mark, Mississippi State has answered 2 Cadillac Williams touchdowns. Marker goes Nick Turner.
And great blocking by the offensive line, but Nick Turner downhill running, makes a couple of moves, runs through some tackles. He's to the 50. He's gone to the house, 77 yards. Nick Turner.
He is third in the SEC in all-purpose yardage in the top 20 in the nation. 14-7 game, and Auburn's on the move again, guys.
Bob, you worked with Coach Sherrill. Your thoughts on him retiring?
Well, I'll give you a great story. We were in Pittsburgh last week. There's a fellow in that football office, a volunteer assistant, 94 years old, whose son died last November. Jackie Sherrill sent him money to help with the funeral. Jackie does a lot of things that he doesn't get credit for. I think he's a great football coach.
Orton sacked at the 13. Great rush by Lewis. He is an indomitable force today. An unbelievable game for number 12, Alex Lewis.
Mark, you're right. Once again, the speed rusher, this time on Kelly Butler, just flat runs around him. That football almost was stripped out of there. 5 sacks. That's a career day.
2nd and 26. The defense trying to keep the Badger hopes alive.
Once again, Alex Lewis at the top of your screen.
Boyd on the handoff. Rod Boyd tackled at the 16. It'll be 3rd down and long. Aiello making the stop on the play for the Badgers. Key 3rd down here for Purdue. What about Alex Lewis, though? 5 sacks already today. School record 6.
By Wendell Bryant, who is here. Mark, I know this is only 3rd down, but looking ahead on 4th down, Alex Lewis, 2 block punts this year already as well.
Orton calls a timeout. Didn't like what he saw. Play clock winding down. Wisconsin trying to keep its 4-game winning streak alive here on homecoming weekend. We'll be back after this.
Wow. ESPN's College Football Saturday. Brought to you by Gateway. 50 new products and 3 ways to get there. That's the way things should be. And by Hummer. Check out the new H2 at Hummer.com. Hummer, like nothing else.
3rd and 22 for the Boilermakers at their own 16. Purdue with a 7-point lead. Both teams trying to stay undefeated in conference play.
And now Alex Lewis on the other side matched up on Mike Otto.
They run the ball, playing it safe. Boyd trying to stay in bounds, which he does, and brought down to the 23. Wisconsin special teams going to go to work. Namely, number 12, Alex Lewis, has blocked 2 punts this year. That was in the first game of the season against West Virginia. And Jim Leonard is the other half of the equation, the other threat. A dangerous return man. Took this one back to the house against Penn State. The Badgers ranked 10th nationally in punt return average. And this would be the best time to produce something big.
Alex Lewis right here matched up on the center. Great job protection on Alex Lewis that time, Mark.
And Slayton, Bob, with a nice punt. Hung it high. Here's Jim Leonard. One man to beat. Jim Leonard. Touchdown, Badgers. .63 yards for the score. Jim Leonard. Now they missed an extra point earlier. Allen missed an extra point earlier in the game. This might not be the gimme you think it should be. And it's good. With 2:55 to go, we're knotted at 23.
Mark, it's a double-edged sword. First, you got to block Alex Lewis. Landon Johnson pancakes him. But that's only half the battle. The other edge of that sword, Jim Leonard. What did he tell us down on the field before the game? Mark, I went up to him and I said, are you going to run one back today?
Said he was going to do it for the guys on the team and the manager.
Yeah, he said, man, that's the plan.
Jim Leonard. Outstanding athletic talent. The team's slam dunk champion. Yes, believe it or not. All 5'8" of them. But he can rise up, and he's got some wheels, too. He took that one to the house. His 3rd punt return touchdown in his career.
Credit Wisconsin's defense, how well they've played here since the first drive of the second half, Mark. But also, Wisconsin's defense has to go back on that field. So they've expanded a lot of energy in this football game. Wisconsin defensively, they got to answer the bell again with 2:55 left in this game.
And Bob, what about Barry Alvarez making a conscious decision a few weeks ago to put more coaches into the specialty teams work? Get more coaches involved. It's paid off here today.
This is a key element right here, Mark, because field position for Purdue as they start this drive will be critical.
2:55 to go. And the freshman Brooks. Good coverage brought down to the 17. College Football Saturday continuing tonight in prime time on both ESPN and ESPN2. Number 7 Florida State and Bobby Bowden looking to tie Joe Pa for most career victories, taking on Virginia. On ESPN2 at 7:45 Eastern Time. Number 10 LSU trying to bounce back. This week they take on South Carolina. And Paterno, his Penn State team idol this week. Bowden with a chance to tie. Standiford. Good open field tackle on the corner by Chucky Counts. A yard short of the first down.
Mark, and when you get beat on a slant and go, I promise you, you're not going to bite on that slant as aggressively. I'm really impressed with the play calling in this game. And you know what? This is how this game should be. 2 undefeated Big Ten teams scratching and clawing. One of them's going to come out of here unbeaten today.
On 2nd down and 1. Standiford, Mr. Reliable, gets the first down at the 33. That time working on Scott Starks. Stanfield, Stubblefield, you can kind of make it a stand-a-field. I mean, they're hybrids of each other, right?
I'll tell you what now. No one else may give you credit. I am giving you credit on that now. That was quick.
First down and 10. Couple of bookend receivers. Blitz from the outside. Orton made a nice move to get away. And it's Stubblefield with a first down near midfield. And the 48. Orton saw the defender coming out of the corner of his eye. Levon Rowan then sidestepped him.
Fine line between winning and losing. If you're Kevin Cosgrove, you're sick because they come with Levon Rowan on the blitz. He's unblocked, Mark. This looks like a headshot right here. He comes at a poor angle, and Kyle Orton ducks him and then hits the open Tyler Stubblefield. That should have been a sack if Levon Rowan comes at the correct angle.
Instead, Bob, it's first and 10. Standiford, incomplete. That time, Chucky Cowan says no, not this time. It is second and 10.
Once again, the slant route to Standiford. This time he works the inside leverage, gets a little jam on it. Great job of getting his hands on the football. But, Mark, it's tough because Purdue will adjust those routes based on what the defensive back's leverage or position on the receiver is.
Second down and 10. Under 2 minutes to go.
And Alex Lewis out of the football game right now, getting a rest, and that's the best news for Purdue's offensive line.
Here's Orton. Incomplete. Starks there on the coverage on Ray Williams.
And Ray Williams missing today in Purdue's offense. Had 6 catches last week in their big win over Penn State.
And look who comes back into the ball game, Alex Lewis. No rest for the weary.
And I'll tell you, the most nervous guys in the stadium, Big Kelly Butler and Mike Otto, which side's he gonna line up on?
They keep an eye on Alex Lewis. They're 7 of 17 in third downs today.
Well, Kelly Butler has Alex Lewis right here at the top of our screen.
Orton has time and fired a dart for the first down at the 38-yard line to Taylor Stubblefield. He was working on Ryan Aiello.
Well, it all starts with the protection. Kelly Butler right here getting help from Brandon Jones, the running back. So they keep 2 guys in, force Alex Lewis through the pocket. Tyler Stubblefield, Mark, another option route where he breaks away from the defender.
Gives him a first down and 10. Going up top, has a man. It's complete to Ray Williams. What a grab!
We just talked about Ray Williams has been missing in the plan of attack for Purdue. And right now, Mark, he makes a huge play down the field against man-to-man coverage. Again, Chucky Cowan turned around.
That's one of those Willie Mays grabs.
I'll tell you what, that is tip it to yourself. Great, great play right there.
Kyle Orton laid it right in the basket.
And Ray Williams, patience. But Mark, here's where Purdue's had trouble. First and goal at the 3.
And 8 plays inside the 10 early in the game, failed to score a touchdown. The toss. Boy, Jones kept those legs churning, got down to the 1.
Well, and if you're Wisconsin, call timeout right now.
Purdue with 1 timeout remaining. And there's a timeout down in the field with 53 seconds to go.
Mark, I go back to this point. Wisconsin's defense, because of the way Wisconsin has scored coming off the punt return. It wasn't like Wisconsin's offense took that ball, drove the ball, gave their defense rest.
Right.
Wisconsin's defense back on that field so quickly in this football game. Think about Jeff Mack on the tipped pass early, or on the strip pass, running it to the house. Defense right back on the field. Jim Leonard punt return. Defense back on the field. Purdue has had the football 36 minutes in this football game.
Jeff Mack looking a little winded, as is Chucky Cowens. Today's Olympus player of the game is Kyle Orton, the quarterback for Purdue. Great numbers, 38 of 55 for 411 yards and a touchdown, and he's not finished yet. The biggest snaps to come for Kyle Orton, our Olympus player of the game. Young man that was knocked out of the starting job last year when he suffered a concussion against Iowa, earned the respect of his teammates in coming back, finished up strong as the starter in the bowl game, carried that into this year, and now trying to win a huge one for his head coach, Joe Tiller. Second down and goal for the Boilermakers from the 1.
And Mark, 1 timeout left for Wisconsin. So they will stop the clock immediately right here if Purdue doesn't score.
Orton keeps it himself. No signal yet. Did not get in. And Alvarez attempting to call another timeout with 46 seconds to go. Some big plays, big games between these two teams. Like back in 2000. Different names, some of them anyway. Barry Alvarez remembers it like it was yesterday, as does Joe Tiller. They haven't met since 2000, when Drew Brees dropped back to pass and hit Seth Morales for a 78-yard touchdown score. Purdue led 21-17. Then in the fourth quarter, Sorgi made the most of his first career start, finding John Sigmund in the end zone to tie the game at 24. Then in overtime, the big play. A blocked field goal by Terrell, scooped up by Ashante Woodard, and he returned it for the touchdown. Number 17, Purdue, knocked off Wisconsin in Madison 30-24 to remain atop the Big Ten standings.
Mark, I think right here, if you're Joe Tiller and Purdue, there's 46 seconds left in this game. Wisconsin has no timeouts. I would run a quarterback sneak just because I don't want any chance that there may be a turnover. Because bottom line, if you run the sneak and don't score, the clock's going to run down as far as you want it to run down, and you can win it on a field goal, and Wisconsin has no time left. So simply run the quarterback sneak. If you score, great. Don't try to extend that ball across the goal line, do anything silly, and then go ahead and kick the field goal.
Well, here's Kyle Orton. Third and goal. Keeps it himself. Did not get in for the second consecutive attempt.
Now,
and he lost his hat. Somebody lost a hat.
The officials stopped the clock, obviously. Purdue can burn 25 seconds off this clock, Mark. There's 43 seconds left. Take it down to, what would that be, 18 seconds? Call timeout and kick the field goal.
Their field goal kicker, Ben Jones, has been very reliable, not only today, but on the season. Jones, a young man that was a transfer from Butler.
And interesting, if I'm Barry Alvarez, they did not start that 25-second clock until just 10 seconds ago. So Purdue can actually run it down here to 5 seconds or so left. So it comes down to Ben Jones, the transfer from Butler University, to win this football game.
Joe Tiller was recruiting a kicker, looking actively for a kicker last year, and then during the bowl prep week, Ben Jones started to do very well, and he caught the eye of his head coach, and Tiller told the young man, he said, if you keep kicking well, son, we will eventually take care of you. Right now, Jones not on scholarship, but performing extremely well. The transfer from Butler has been pretty much very Mr. Reliable.
And I'm telling you this, if he makes this field goal, he's going to be knocking on Joe's door for that scholarship.
Sooner than he thought.
And Joe, if he's smart, which I know he is going to open that door and give him a scholarship. But it comes down to this field goal. And Mark, this is not a gimme because this ball is inside the 1-yard line. That's a pretty severe angle because the ball's on the hash. And Alex Lewis is on this field goal block team, as well as Scott Starks coming off the corner right here. And you see Darren Charles, 6'7", come in. There are no gimmies. And you talk about the snap, you talk about the hold, the operation of the field goal. But Ben Jones, if he makes it, expect that knock on the door if you're Joe Tiller.
Well, he's 3 for 3 today, Bob. He's made his last 9. He scored the last 9 Purdue points.
And here is Darren Charles right here. I believe he's going to get a running leap
for the ball game. Ben Jones. And Purdue leads. There's a flag on the play. Purdue leading by 3. And they roughed the kicker, Jones. With 3 seconds to go, the Purdue Boilermakers lead by a field goal.
A great job by Kyle Smith right here. The backup safety of getting this ball down, Mark. It's a pretty high snap, but he gets it down and gives Ben Jones the opportunity to square that thing up. There's the roughing the kicker penalty, but wow.
And there's Charles trying to get up, along with Jim Leonard. Get a hand up there, trying to block it frantically, furiously, but Ben Jones, the better man today. 4 for 4.
And if you're Purdue, you come in here and win a huge Big Ten football game. They go on the road again next week. If you're Wisconsin, difficult now. Jim Sorgi is out with what it looks to be a pretty severe knee injury. But what a different emotion in this stadium than there was a week ago when they beat Ohio State.
And Purdue, speaking of emotion, an emotional game next week coming up at Michigan. As for Wisconsin, they got to bounce back and travel to Evanston, Illinois to take on Northwestern. Then they get a week off.
And I talk about great coaching jobs. Purdue, high expectations coming into this season. They get upset by Bowling Green in the first game of the year. The air could have come out of the balloon. Joe Tiller makes a decision, Mark, the day after the game, Sunday. He said they didn't play on Saturday against Bowling Green, so we're going to play Sunday. He goes out there in scrimmages.
Live, huh?
Yeah, and you know what? You could lose your football team. But he's got this football team turned around. They're going to walk out here today having won 6 straight football games. But, man, the Big Ten race, it is going to be like this the rest of the year, Mark. There's a lot of good football teams that are evenly matched.
Joe Tiller in his 7th year at Purdue. This one of the bigger wins. They won back in 2000. Barring a huge miracle, it's over. Now 3 seconds to go. They won't start the clock until he touched it. Brandon Williams, and what do we have here?
Mark,
the clock start?
In college football, the clock does not start until the receiving returner touches the football. Doesn't matter if it's the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, or fourth quarter. So there will be 3 seconds, I think, back on this clock because he immediately touched the football and went down.
Timer, please set the clock at 2 seconds.
I'm going to say 2.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Mark.
Yep.
I mean, it takes a second for him to have secured the football and then for the official to rule it dead.
That kind of stuff shouldn't happen at home. Should be a little reluctant to run that clock. Purdue looking to improve to 6-1 overall, and more importantly, undefeated at 3-0 in conference play. What a day for number 18, Kyle Orton. Started off connected on a lot of his passes early in the ball game. 38 of 55 overall. For 411 yards and 1 touchdown. Schaebert out of the shotgun. He'll heave this one up for Evans. And it's incomplete at midfield. That's where it dies for the Badgers. As the Purdue Boilermakers, like they did in 2000, come in here and win in dramatic fashion. Joe Tiller's team answering a daunting challenge on the road, defeating the Badgers in Camp Randall on homecoming weekend. And with that victory, they become bowl eligible. And he's standing by with our Holy Road.
Coach, you just said to Barry Alvarez it was a Big Ten football game, but you guys came out throwing. Was that your game plan all along?
That's a Purdue Big Ten football game. Yeah, we wanted to throw the football and thought we could. We thought if we came in and threw the ball early and got them tired, maybe things would go a little better for us as the game moved on.
This is your first big test in the Big Ten on the road. What was the difference for your team today?
Well, I think our guys maintained good focus. You know, they really talked about all week the importance of being concentrated, not letting them hit the stutter and go like they did against Ohio State. I think our kids just did a great job.
Talking about the running game of the Badgers, they are so dominant, but today you were really able to limit that. What did your defense do?
They ran to the football. We really didn't do much difference, Holly. Our defensive game plan was pretty much vanilla the way we've been playing it.
All right, what does this do to propel you for the rest of the season? You go on the road at Michigan next week.
We have to find a way to win one game. That's
all right, thanks very much, Joe. Mark?
All right, Holly, did I hear Joe Tiller say something about being vanilla? Far from it, as Purdue defeats Wisconsin 26-23. Coming up next, get all the scores and highlights on the College Game Day scoreboard presented by Acura. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.